seconds for the camera to autofocus.
Well, I've had to reset that camera twice because the first time I had this weird band across the bottom, like the sensor was malfunctioning, and then it had this weird kind of soft focus. I looked gorgeous, but it was this sort of soft focus, like the 1930s movies where they'd have they'd do the scene that was like super serious with the guy and the girl talking to each other about how much they love each other, and they'd have the shot of the guy and it looked normal, and then they'd cut to the shot of the girl and it's like they put Vaseline on the lens. It's like this glow.
Oh.
Just like
I didn't know where you were going there. They put Vaseline where?
This soft filter on the lens. Come on, old movie bustle. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch not Gone with the Wind, not Swiss Family Robinson. Oh my goodness. Sound of Music. Watch The Sound of Music. This is the first time I noticed it as a kid, and I literally turned to my parents. I'm like, "What's wrong?" When they have this scene where the young man and the young woman are kind of talking to each other, and it's the boy's heading off to be a Nazi and she's not, of course. And when they showed the shot of her, all of a sudden the camera was all out of focus. It was all weird.
Yeah.
And it was because they had done the soft focus romantic thing. Yeah.
The glow.
So my camera was doing that a second ago, but it seems okay now.
What's with the hair, dude?
I look as ugly as usual. Hang on. What do you mean? What's with the hair?
What's with the hair?
I haven't lost my hair. My hair is still here. It's still on my head.
The curls are back.
It is precisely where it's supposed to be.
The curls are back.
No, listen,
I bullied these out of you, and here they are.
I have a beef with hairdressers that require you to make a booking, because I go online to make the booking, and I'm like, I've got time this afternoon. That's how I get my hair done.
You just want to walk in.
I've got time this afternoon. I jump on. I can't book for 14 million years or 3 days, as the case may be. And so I look at it and I go, well, I can't. It's a Monday. I can't get in till Thursday. I'm going to find somewhere else.
Are you that important?
But then, of course, no, I'm just that disorganized.
Do you know who I am?
I'm that disorganized. But so I turn around and I go, okay, I'll find somewhere else. But then I don't. And so because I had to wait 3 days to get my hair done, I end up waiting months.
Right.
But in the end, it saves me money. So
would you like me to get to it with some scissors?
Look, you sound like my mum.
Just sit down and put a bowl on your head.
Well, it sounds like it'd be about the same result too. All right, I am so pumped and so prepped. Can you see? Okay, I have caffeine. All right, in a bottle. This is like high quality espresso coffee. I have a sports drink just in case we really get into some heavy going, and because the heater was up so high last week, I thought, you know what, I'm going to need to replace some electrolytes. And are you ready for this, everyone? Are you ready for this? Ta-da-da-da-da-da.
We have mugs.
We have mugs. Tangent time.
Yeah.
There we go. Tangent time.
How tacky are they?
Oh, they're awful. It's
in
so
the best
good.
way.
It's so good. I hate them. They're fantastic.
They're so tacky. Yeah. I just bought these off Vistaprint because I was like, we need something, we need some kind of merch on the table.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy because it's all templated.
Oh, yeah.
So you just it's literally just stamp it on.
Yeah.
The fact that we can't even make the whole thing black just infuriates me. Do you know what this looks like? Do you remember when a movie used to come out in the 90s and you go get the matching mugs or drinks from Macca's or whatever?
The big Coke.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yes.
This is the equivalent.
Look, we do have some real stuff on its way, but this will do. I mean, this is great. This is it suits the show. How tacky, how awful. It's perfect.
Okay, we're gonna do our word. Our word. All right, so.
No, I think we're even at the moment. I got the first one. You got the second one.
What was the first? Recalcitrant.
Recalcitrant was
and then
number
last
one.
week was languid.
Languid, yes.
All right,
you did well with that because I'd forgotten entirely about it.
All right, you're going to tell me when to stop.
Now.
Every time. Literally every time.
Empty page.
All right. We'll do the page after.
Okay,
that happens.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, go to the left-hand side near the top.
Palaver.
Palaver is a great word.
A rambling, meandering stream of consciousness, conversation spoken to prove or make a point. That's just me in a word.
No, every time Anthony Albanese tries to make an address to the media, it is an absolute palaver.
Okay. So to use it in an example, don't ask Aline about collecting art. The result will be a 20 minutes of mind-numbing palaver. Yeah. I think that's what your audience thinks of me.
Hey, listen, we had someone on the live who absolutely gets it.
Yes.
Was it that black fella? Was that the commenter?
No, the big fella.
The big fella.
Yeah.
Was the commenter and said that he loves the dynamic between you and me. He gets it. Like what he said, I can't remember what he said, but what he said was perfect. It's like, yes.
Big brother, little sister.
Yes. That's what now. Speaking of which, I have a gift for you, little sister.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Now, I'm doing my best to make you cultured. I'm probably doomed to fail, but I will die trying. And you've said to me that you have never seen Lord of the Rings. And so I have solved that problem for you with a brand new, still in plastic, box set of all 3 movies with all of the extra features, the behind the scenes, the making of. You are so very welcome.
Is this an archaic relic that requires a device on which to play them?
What do you mean?
Are these VHS or are these DVDs or what are these?
Wow, I might be old, but please. No, they're DVD.
DVD. Yeah. I haven't had a device that can hold a disc for probably 20 years.
What?
Does your laptop take a CD-ROM?
Okay, hang on. That's right. I forget your Mac. They charge you extra for everything. They remove everything from the machine, and they're like, but you have to pay. If you want more than one plug in the back of your laptop, you need to pay us extra.
But no, seriously, who's had a DVD player for like the last 15 years?
Okay, you're right. My PlayStation is dead, and
I wouldn't even know how to play these today.
Yes, you raise a valid point because actually, now that I think about it, I'm not sure that I could either. That's probably why they're still in plastic.
I don't even have a CD player in my car.
Well, that's because it's a Jeep. It's a piece of crap. Yeah.
It's got a top-end Alpine system in it. Thank you very much. Jesus.
So you don't have to put up with the sound of the engine rattling at you.
I love my engine.
So are you being churlish? Are you criticizing
I'm
my
being
gift?
Ungrateful, apparently.
Yeah, you are.
Are these pirated?
No.
The printing's off.
That is the proper real deal.
The offset printing is off.
This is a collector's set of all of the behind. Wow. Okay, fine. Give them back.
No.
No.
Okay,
you don't deserve
guys,
them. You don't deserve them.
Where can we buy a DVD player? Can you buy one still?
Facebook Marketplace.
Like my TV.
That's why all the home invasions are happening. All these young kids are like, I got to get a DVD player, but I can't find one on the shelves. I just got to break into people's houses till I find something.
Can you still buy them? Surely you can.
Surely. You'd have to be able to.
Do you know what? I'm actually really mad at myself. When I was...
Wow, that makes 2 of us.
Right? Mad at me?
No,
or?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm not ungrateful. I will add this to the watch list. Late 2000s, like 2007 and 8, was moving back up to Melbourne, and I got rid of my entire CD collection and my entire DVD collection. And I'm talking these are buckets and buckets and stuff because I was like, I don't watch it, I don't look at it. I wish I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that.
So here's the thing: I've got Amazon. I pay for Amazon Prime because we get enough stuff delivered that it's worth it for me to get the free delivery. You get all the movies and everything else with it. Great. Then we get to movie night. We do a movie night every Friday night. It's a kids' movie. And so I'm going through some of the classics. We watched A Bug's Life on Friday, just gone. Have you seen A Bug's Life?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
It's
right.
OG,
Yeah. So I'm introducing my kids to the classics. You have to pay for them all. I'm paying for a streaming service.
Don't even get me started on streaming.
And it doesn't even have, like, half of the stuff you've got to pay extra for. And then I realised I've now probably, I haven't spent a lot of money, but over probably 4 years now, I would have spent multiple hundreds of dollars on extra stuff, right? If I end my Amazon subscription, if I stop paying that, whatever it is, $12, $15 a month, I lose access to hundreds of dollars worth of stuff that I've bought.
So it's like subscriptions are a scam.
They've got me by the short and curlies.
Yeah. The whole thing is a scam. And I used to always have Foxtel. I know, bougie. But we had Foxtel when we were growing up. I think it was called Ozstar or something. Or whatever. I can't remember.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it became like, Netflix came out, 2016, 17, when it was like mass adaptation.
Back in the dark ages, yeah.
Yeah. And I still had my Foxtel, so I got rid of it to have Netflix. And then all of a sudden, because I was like, oh, wow, $15 as opposed to like whatever it was, 90 bucks that I was paying.
Yeah.
And then now, if I was to add up, because this is what happens, right? G and I will be talking about movies. And we're like, we should watch that.
Yeah.
And then we look up the movie because I've got Apple TV, and it'll be like, it's on Binge. Of course, I don't have Binge. Or it's on Paramount Plus, or it's on HBO, or it's on Stan. And it's so infuriating because...
Can we just have a cage match? Can they all just get into a cage, Mad Max style? 6 go in, 1 comes out.
We basically just want to reinvent cable. Like, let's just put them all back on the one big thing. Give me a satellite again and the 20 channels.
Okay. It just clicked. You remember the movie Demolition Man?
Yes.
How they had the franchise wars. And was it Taco Bell one? And so all the other food franchises were gone.
Yeah.
This is it. We need to have franchise wars between the streaming services.
Yeah.
It's like 6 go in, 1 comes out, and that is forever the king.
Yeah.
No one else is like, let's write all the anti-competitive laws we can. Let's be completely non-libertarian. I just want one streaming service and everything is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. I mean, we've talked about how much I spend on subscriptions, but Adobe came out recently saying that it's going up by $50 a month.
Yeah.
Canva tried to do that I think they tried to do that last year. But now it's to the point where everything is a subscription.
Yeah.
Everything. So, for example, for the podcast, I signed up to the Herald Sun so I could get the articles, and then I signed up to the Australian. I can't cancel them without getting on the phone.
Oh, yeah, they make it hard.
It's infuriating. So then I was like, okay, I'll sign up to Apple News, which collates a lot of the places.
Right.
So that's $20 a month.
Yeah.
But of course, that's just for headlines. If I want to read the extensive article, I then have to pay in Apple News extra subscriptions to Financial Review or whatever.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, get stuffed.
Yeah. No,
I
that's
just want to go
ridiculous.
back to the newsstand and be able to pick up the newspaper.
Yeah, and like if you could run fast enough, it was free.
Yeah.
So, it's the good old days.
Do you know what? Speaking of this, I put this here just to sort of intellectually flex. I'll take my toilet paper tissue off. That's my nose.
That's your intellectual flex, yeah.
This, look at this.
Sorry. Firstly, I can see right from the start, it just says lorem ipsum. You've just copied and pasted. No. I remember, do you remember, because Pepperidge Farm remembers, back when computers were going to save the trees?
Yeah, no, fuck the
Do you
trees.
remember that?
I am so tactile, right? So
Right.
these are all the university research papers, journals, statistics,
Right.
all the things I'm reading as part of my master's. And a lot of it's all done through, what do you call them, like online libraries where you go and type the thing and then you grab your research. I cannot stand one more minute reading this stuff on a screen. I want to pick it up. I want to hold it in my hand. I want to circle things. I want to highlight. I want to scrunch the pages. I don't feel like you retain anything when you read it off a screen. I'm very tactile. I miss magazines. I miss books. I miss newspapers.
Have you ever had an IQ test?
Yes.
Okay. I would like you to do a before and after. I want you to redo the IQ test, and then I want you to read this paper. This is a real thing. I'm not making it up. Face-shaping power of the post-feminist gaze or digital rhetorical lateral surveillance in Armenia. I am not making this up. That is what it says. And I want you to do another IQ test and see how many points of IQ you've lost over the span of about 16 pages. That
you know what?
is amazing.
You talk about waffle. Honestly, most of these are like masters or PhD dissertations, and a lot of it's like, unfortunately, psychology journals, and there's research journals in here. But the reason I thought I'd show you this is the way that we have overcomplicated such simple things.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm trying to find the one I want to talk about. It's not the wrong paper, but this was a theory that was developed by an American psychologist in 1954, Leon Festinger. Do you know who this is? No. Okay, it's called social comparison theory. Now, that might sound like common sense today, but someone was studying this stuff about how we coalesce to social norms to fit in, right? Yeah. And this is a big part of my paper. This book, this is it. This is like 100 freaking pages. And this is exactly what's happening now. It's like we know all this stuff. We just seem to have lost all this knowledge, or we don't want to pay attention to it. And then you get nonsense like that one that you just read out. I'm like, God, we are overcomplicating the stupid things and forgetting the basics.
Yeah.
But the reason I wanted to show you this is I'm not a dumbass. I'm just stuck in academic research at the moment, and it's a lot.
You're not a dumbass yet, but keep reading those and you will be soon.
Wait till I've got my PhD, and then I'll
That's
be a dumbass.
That's right, absolutely.
No, so something I wanted to point out was my thesis has shifted a little bit, because now thanks to all this Tattle Life nonsense, it's actually given me the missing catalyst to be able to frame all this together. So I am arguing against all this neoliberal feminism by saying that women are the antagonists when it comes to beauty standards.
Right.
Using social comparison, women are the ones who are upholding these beauty standards because they are the ones who are self-surveilling and peer policing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to upset a lot of academics.
Excellent. Well, look, I look forward to, I will come to your graduation ceremony where you have to throw the hat and then run as fast as you can because everyone's coming after you. That's,
so it's like, why are people running after me?
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
Because everyone's coming after you. Now, we're meant to start with good news. I don't quite have good news. I have an embarrassing story.
Oh, even better.
Have you ever gotten whiplash?
Like from braking in your car?
Well, like from be in a car crash or
yes.
Okay, you've had so.
I thought you meant from like someone gaslighting me or something.
No, I this week gave myself, admittedly mild but still very real, whiplash from making my bed. Not like doing funky things in the bed.
I don't want to know what you and Eddie get up to, dude. That's too much.
I wish that was my story. I wish that was my story.
Yeah.
I'm making the bed. I'm spreading the top sheet out. It's a king size, so it's a big sheet. And I've grabbed 2 fistfuls nice and far apart. And I've done the big flick to get it up high into the air. And I'm going to try and waft it and have it lay down perfectly like it does in the movies, right? It's just going to lay down perfectly on the bed and require no adjustment. That's what's in my head. That's what I'm planning on. And I'm like, I'm going to have to give it a really good rip just to get that air to sort of pocket it.
Disc.
So I didn't realize where I'd grabbed it. And I put my hands far apart. I'd grabbed it too far apart, and the fabric was still loose. It wasn't taut.
Oh.
And so as I've done this big whip with my hands high above my head goes down. I'm like an umpire in the AFL about to bounce the ball, right? My hands are high above my head's tucked down between my knees. I'm slamming that thing down towards the ground. The loose loop of fabric has caught around the back of my head as I'm whipping my head back upwards. My hands are coming down with extreme levels of violence. And I legitimately gave myself whiplash. I felt it down between my shoulder, in my neck, my shoulder blades, and then down through to sort of the mid-height of my spine.
So hang on, when you say whiplash, you've like pulled it behind you.
So I've caught the back of my head.
Yeah.
So as my head's trying to come up, I've ripped my own head down with all the momentum that was in my arms and all the power that I was trying to flick the sheet with. And so I've just literally ripped my head down. Now, I've been in a car crash where we were hit from behind and I was in the back seat of a little tiny hatchback. And,
That's like some Final Destination kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a Final Destination movie, I would have ripped my head off.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And the level of force and the immediate searing pain did make me wonder for a moment if I had done a lot more damage than just whiplash. I'm glad that you can laugh at my misfortune.
I probably shouldn't laugh, but it's funny.
And so yesterday, because I did this 2 days ago. Yesterday, I was battling actually with migraines coming up from there, and obviously migraines and headaches are 2 different things. But I am a bit prone to migraines, and I was wrestling with one yesterday. It was trying to sneak up on me and get me because of the whiplash I'd given myself on Monday.
Good.
It's not ideal. It's slightly embarrassing. But also, I thought it'd be funny. I thought you'd enjoy that.
I did laugh. Do you know what, though? Those, like, freak accidents where you do something so relatively normal but cause such injury.
Yeah.
I've told you about my skateboarding.
Yeah.
Did I show that video on the podcast?
I'm not sure. It's, like, I remember you showed photos of the bruising.
Yeah, like it was... And all I did, I was standing upright... about to go on the skateboard and I don't know what I did, but I literally fell and just went from standing upright to flat on the concrete. Yeah. And I thought I snapped my femur. Yeah. Like I just went from here to bang. Yeah. And I hit obviously at the right angle with the right amount of slap of my thigh on the concrete. And you know when you have like that wave of pain where you're winded, you're like Yeah. And I had a hematoma from the top of my knee to my hip bone. The whole thing was black and blue. I was like, how did I do that?
Can I tell you another story that happened just this morning?
I'll go.
It's different.
This is meant to be good news.
It'll make people squirm for a different reason.
Oh.
I get out of bed at about 5:30 in the morning. I normally get up at 6, but when I come down to Melbourne, I've got to get up at 5:30. And as I'm making my way out, having a shower, blah, 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 my wife wakes up a little bit and she says, "Can you check the mousetrap? I think I heard it last night." And I'm like, But I haven't set the mouse trap in quite some time because we had mice and then
Yeah.
I got them all. Did you know I've caught 2 mice in a single snap of the mouse trap twice.
Oh, really? They're usually too smart.
Well, the key with it, I discovered this by accident. They were too light. They were stealing the cheese, but they weren't setting off the trap. And so I sticky taped a 10-cent piece to the underside of the platform to make it a little bit heavier and make it a bit more trigger happy. Still wasn't enough. So because these were juvenile mice, it wouldn't go until there were 2 of them.
Right.
And so I go over to the trap. I'm like, my eyes are like deceiving me. What I can't quite make sense of what I'm seeing here. And I go, oh, it's 2 mice. And I'd forgotten to take a photograph of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I threw them in the green waste because, you know, you got to recycle your dead mice. You compost them. I threw it in the green waste and they went, oh, I should have taken a photo. No one's ever going to believe me. And then about a week later, it happened again. Anyway, we dealt with that infestation of mice and I got a photograph the second time. We dealt with that. Anyway, so my wife says to me, I think the mousetrap's gone. I'm like, I haven't set the mousetrap in a while. So I go out, I'm making some sort of morning coffee and all the rest of it, getting ready to go. And I open the pantry. It's a small pantry, but it's a small walk-in pantry. And it has a wooden door with slats in it that lets sort of light through. And we usually close it at night if we remember. Well, I open it, and lo and behold, on the floor, scurrying out of sight, is a mouse that spent the entire night trapped inside this little tiny pantry area. So I don't know what to do because obviously I want to kill the mouse, but I haven't got the mouse trap with me. And it's like, it's pointless. What am I going to do? Chase it with the mouse trap, you know?
Yeah.
So without thinking, I step inside the pantry and close the door behind me. So now the mouse and I, like this was a real 2 goes
This
in,
is like
one
a real
comes out.
Tom and Jerry kind of shit.
I'm like, but now what do I do? Like this thing is down somewhere on the ground level, potentially could climb up anywhere, who knows? And I'm barehanded and barefooted. What's my plan here? I don't know what I'm doing
You
here.
hadn't had coffee yet.
No, I had not had coffee yet. So thankfully there was a wooden chopping board on its little spot in a slot up on one of the shelves. I'm like, right, wooden chopping board, nice and hefty, nice and kind of chunky bamboo chopping board. And I'm like, right, I'm going to have to corner this thing and just kind of like shove the chopping board into the corner and just like give him a bit of a squish. Trying not to do it so hard that I have to like wipe him off the walls.
Yeah.
Just hard enough to like break some bones. Like you got to calibrate correctly, you know? So here I am, I'm pulling bags of like dog food and so forth out of the bottom. And we've got a corner down the bottom where we just kind of chuck the paper supermarket bags. We sort of fold them and flatten them and just chuck them in there.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he was in amongst those. So what do? I go, bingo, the paper will absorb anything. And I give the top of that pile of paper bags a good solid thump with a bamboo chopping board. Turns out that is a really good way to kill a mouse. No mess, no blood. I picked him up by the tail. I put him in the compost bag and I tied the bag up and I left it on the bench because I forgot to take it out with me. And I had the thought in the car on the way down here, what if he's just knocked out?
Oh, no.
And he wakes up inside that bag and now my wife's going to come out in the morning and there's going to be a little green bag that's been neatly tied up with compost on the inside of it. And there's a mouse trying to fight for its life in there.
Oh, God. That was the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. We're all better for knowing this. Thank you.
Well, look, I will update you on Monday whether it'll come back to life.
Yeah. I have a big issue with mice because we're right near like a waterway.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like there's little field mice
Oh, yeah.
or like little Aussie mice.
Well, you're not killing my family.
What do you mean?
Topher field mice.
Yeah, got
Wow. You haven't had your coffee either, have you?
No. I was like, some of your jokes just shit.
Wow.
I can't react because they're just so bad. Anyway,
I mean, you're not wrong, but wow.
I tried my hand at doing some, cultivating fruit and veg over the summer.
Yes, you were very proud of your
and
efforts.
the mice got most of it.
They love pumpkins. They'll get in there. They'll drill a little hole where you can't see it, and then you go to pick up the pumpkin. It's just empty.
They go, oh, is this good to go? And then they run back, tell all their mates, and then they all come and scurry.
Yeah.
And the dogs have caught a couple of them, which is weird. But then they ate all my tomatoes, and I thought, not that this is something he'd do, but I thought he was going out there going, oh, ripe tomato, I'm going to eat that right now. Because I'd see them the night before and go, oh, they'll probably be good tomorrow. And then I'd go out there and the whole stalk's empty. I'm like,
gee, how could you?
Who's taking my... And
getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning while Carly's asleep and stealing her
my
tomatoes out of the garden.
I was like, this is like the plot of Gaslighting.
This is Gaslighting. Yeah, this is the movie. Oh, yeah.
And because I had the bird net on them, and then by the time
But you didn't have a G net on them.
No.
Yeah.
But no, it was the little field mice. And we ended up catching them on the CCTV.
Is that what G-strings are for?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Anyway, my good news.
Yes, right. What's your good news?
So my good news is because I've been in a bit of a creative sort of Just a flat time. Haven't been feeling that inspired photography-wise. And a lot of what I do...
Well, I know you're working with some really boring clients at the moment.
No.
So, yeah.
Well, that's not photography yet.
Well, it's not photography yet, but it will be. It's the dread, the existential dread of having to point the lens at me again at some point in your future. You know?
Stop it. No, I've been doing a lot of corporate stuff and I just haven't been feeling very creative. And you know how I bought that 1970s TV? So I've done my 70s shoot.
Oh, wow. Hello.
So this is a fashion editorial with like the 70s vibe.
So to those of you listening to the podcast, sucks to be you.
Yeah. You guys will have to jump on YouTube and
we're looking at some of Carly's photographic work.
And
That's
make sure you subscribe too. So a fashion editorial is meant to be story. So you're telling a story. And I'm not going to tell you the story. Hopefully you can pick up on what the story is and you can tell us.
It's about a hairdresser.
No.
Okay. It's a woman who's fallen in love with a primitive version of AI. Okay. Great photos. And I know they speak 1,000 words, but it must be in a different language because I'm not getting it.
I love doing this to people. It's just a 70s editorial. So it's basically about that long lost nostalgia.
Yeah, it's very cute.
A young woman coming of age, bored at home, playing around, figuring out who she is, kind of thing. So she starts with, getting ready for going out.
Like that go back one. That could be on the cover of any high-end magazine.
Well, that's
a fantastic photo.
That's the hope.
But it is the caliber of the photo and the model and the setting is such that could be on the front of any high-end magazine.
Stop it! I didn't even pay you to say that.
But you will later.
But yeah, so I was going for that sort of Joan Jett, 70s nostalgia vibe, and that's what I wanted to use the TV for, just have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But we had a great time. So this model Holly,
it is a bit MTV. You've captured that really well. Early MTV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the summers of a bygone era, the Polaroid, the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
Back when men were men, women were women, and serial killers were serial killers.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
When was the last time we had a good old serial killer?
I mean, look, the best we've got is Mushroom Lady.
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly. But yeah, so anyway, point is, I had a lot of fun.
That's a great photo shoot.
Yeah, this was all just done on a Sunday afternoon in my house, in my lounge room. And yeah, the power of just...
But you're shaping light all the way through that. You're shaping light, which speaks to your Illuminate sort of book where you talk about the recipes and so forth. And that's what it's all about. And the number of times I've been on set either for film or occasionally photography, and you look with the naked eye and you just think, eh?
Yeah, what is this?
It's only once you see it through the camera where the camera settings are matched to the way it's been lit, and the story suddenly becomes clear.
Yeah. Well, on the light, so this one here, that's all artificial. None of this is natural real. Light. Yeah. So I'm using a gobo here, and I've obviously color graded everything to have a warm tone.
Yep.
This is very unlike my work, which is why I was excited. This is totally not something I would normally shoot. I'm not a big fan of the 70s. It's just not my era personally.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like warm, muted tones, and that sort of nostalgia look is not my aesthetic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just went out. We had some fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my good news.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now you've seen some of my work.
Nice. Nice. Oh, speaking of work, did you light up that video?
I did.
We're going to see some of my work later on in this episode.
I have it all lit. And now I need to hide all my porn tabs so that you guys don't see it.
Yeah, that wasn't one of them?
No.
You went, okay.
No, I've got
so I wasn't supposed to get excited.
No, I've got some Mark Latham-esque kind of stuff in here.
Right, okay.
So let me get to our... God, I got a lot of things open. Hang on.
It keeps cutting to me when I'm drinking this. It looks like we've got a sponsorship with Boss Coffee. I promise you we don't. But Boss Coffee, if you'd like to sponsor us, I'd be very happy to say Boss Coffee a few more times.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of First Press Coffee. I used to work with those guys back when I had my clothing label.
All right, let's start a bidding war. First Press Coffee versus Boss Coffee. You two.
Guys, reach out.
Just both of us, make us your best offers.
All right. I'm just while I'm here, I'm literally just closing down all the things that I had open on my... No wonder my poor laptop struggles. All right, so today's topics.
All right, let's go.
There's a lot, and I'm interested to see how this all sort of meanders around. All right, you probably weren't thinking we'd talk about this, but I think there's a point to be made here.
Right.
Mark Latham's texts to his ex-partner. This is a massive scandal that's blowing up at the moment. Are you familiar with any of this?
The Mark Latham stuff I've honestly stayed away from. I had a very tiny bit to do with him a while ago, decided I didn't like him, and I've really kind of ignored him ever since.
I didn't realise he was One Nation recently. I remember him as the leader of the Labor Party. Like, wasn't he John Howard era Labor Party leader?
He was. So Latham was Labor, and then he defected. Did he become a Liberal? I know he did some stuff with One Nation. I think he flirted with the Libertarians for a little while.
He got elected under One Nation. I've got it all here anyway.
You do? Okay,
yeah. But there's a point I want to make around that. It's not just talking about the scandal.
Yep.
The cancer warnings on alcohol.
Oh, goodness. Give me a break.
Right.
These are the people that said the jabs were safe and effective, but they're worried that people don't know that alcohol could hurt you.
Like, we're steps away from prohibition again.
Yeah,
Trump and Epstein. Now, we talked about this on Monday, but I've got a clip here that I think is worth watching because it really is fracturing the base. And I think Trump and his advisors really underestimated this.
I think they are clueless.
Yeah.
I think they are clueless. The very forces, the very people that they successfully appealed to by doing the blitz through the podcasting world are the very people that they are now pissing off the most.
Yes. Then I've got the RBA proposes a ban on card surcharges.
Yes. Now, I've got a lot to say about this because I've actually done work on this in the past.
I've got your video queued up.
This is something that sounds good.
Yeah.
But is it?
Country road closures and retail collapse. Now, this was a discussion that was happening, and I thought this would all lead into also small business suffering Australia-wide at the moment.
Sure.
And there's discussion through leaked documents that Jim Chalmers might be considering putting up GST.
Yes. Well, look, if you put up GST and abolished, say, income tax, I'd be all for that, but not just for the sake of raising more revenue.
No, it's just to keep trying to get blood from a stone. Spanish energy giant pulls out of the Victorian wind farm. Thought you'd like that.
Everything's falling apart. The last of the hydrogen experiments have been shut down, although Bowen has just announced another $400 million to go to a new one. We're just going to keep throwing money after something that's not working. But yeah, all the offshore stuff is dying. A lot of the onshore stuff is dying.
And then, like, this is a curveball. Are you familiar with Shameless Media? This is very Gen Z.
No.
Shameless Media they are very successful women. They started the tagline for their podcast is called For Smart Women Who Love Dumb Stuff.
Okay.
It's a culture podcast. These women are very, very successful off this.
Okay, yeah.
And I recently started following them again. I followed them a little bit during COVID and then they went woke and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But I do like hearing people discuss things that I'm interested in. And weirdly, I just started following them the other day because I was like, oh, this might be good for us for the podcast.
Sure.
And they put up an article about Brad Pitt is fooling you. Now, obviously, we just talked about the F1 movie.
Right.
And it was this massive diatribe around the rehabilitation of bad men who are good looking and how they get away with it. So Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt, Chris Brown. And I thought, since we've talked about this a little bit in the past, this would actually be a good talking point. I'm going to read you the feminist side of the argument.
Sorry, have I missed something with Brad Pitt? What makes him the bad guy, apart from the fact that he's divorced?
All of his children hate him. He was an alcoholic and very abusive, allegedly.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Quite a palaver from Angelina Jolie.
Well, yes. Well, I would suggest that there is considerable evidence of what would what's his name? We'd call it devouring mother syndrome on the part of Angelina Jolie. But
this is the thing, we're never going to know. I used the word and you didn't even pick it up on it. I said palaver.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not very good at this game, are you?
No, I'm not. Look, my brain is has just gone in a million different directions. But yes, congratulations. You're two for one.
Two for two.
I really didn't need to. No, you're two from three. You're two against one. You're 2 from 3.
Yeah.
But I do need to focus on that more. But no, the Brad Pitt thing. People are blaming him for what's happened to his kids.
Yeah. So we'll go into it.
Interesting.
Where would you like to start?
Let's start at the corner pub, and then we'll head down to Beer Deluxe, and then I reckon if we headed to like a... Oh, you mean on the topics?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were organising a pub crawl. Look, I hate all of them.
Yeah.
So let's just go.
Well, Do you want to just do the Trump one quickly and just rip the Band-Aid off?
Let's get this out of the way.
All right, I'm going to play you a video.
Okay.
This is Trump. Oh.
I love this thing.
Well, that's wrong video. Sorry.
Spoilers.
Mr. President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled?
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say let them have it.
So then do that. Right? Anything that's credible. Okay, it's boring. Okay. Is boring a reason?
Then give us the stuff.
Yeah, it's sordid.
We'll determine if it's boring.
Is that a reason not to put it in? If it's credible, release it. The problem will be solved. The problem isn't that he released the documents and they didn't say what we expected. The problem is he said, we're not going to release the documents, having promised that they would. Then he said the documents don't exist, but trust us, nothing bad happened. And now he's saying, well, there is information, but it's boring and sordid.
Yeah.
And if it was credible, I would release it. It's like, well, it's coming from the FBI and the DOJ. I would hope it's going to be pretty credible because Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison on the basis of some of it. So I would hope it's pretty credible. He's tying himself in knots here. And this is, we've said before, I'm not going to labour the point. This will go down as one of the greatest, most spectacular own goals of any politician on any side. But how extraordinary it is that Barack Obama didn't release it. Now, to be fair, a lot of it happened after the end of his tenure, but Epstein was on the radar even back then.
Yeah.
Then Trump 1.0 didn't release it. Joe Biden didn't release it. Trump 2.0 is now saying he won't release it. And at various points over this journey, we've had all the Democrats saying, release the files.
Yep.
And at other times, we've had all the Republicans saying, release the files. And they've both had the opportunity to actually do that, and none of them have.
I want to play you something from Tucker Carlson quickly.
Yeah.
He did a really good speech at CPAC. And I'm on the fence with Tucker sometimes. Sometimes I agree with, like everyone, sometimes I agree with you, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But I thought this nailed it. So
what is it about Jeffrey Epstein that's so infuriating to people, so infuriating that it's actually causing seismic political problems? And I hope that they'll address it and it'll get better. I really do. But what is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's the frustration of normal people watching a certain class of people get away with everything every single time.
Yeah.
And that's all it is.
Can't argue with that.
You're telling us that you're going to dismantle the deep state. You've done none of it.
Yeah. Now, but this is actually what makes me really angry about this, is that he is doing some good stuff elsewhere. Now, he's also doing some bad stuff elsewhere. But actually, compared against, not against idealistic expectations of a perfect president, but compared against his predecessors, Trump is actually doing some really good stuff, even within the big, beautiful bill, which, yes, is the largest debt increase in history in dollar terms, but not in percentage terms. It actually does do some good work. It actually does do some very necessary reform. Nowhere near enough. But he's actually doing some good stuff. He's pardoning people. Doctors, for example, have recently started receiving pardons from him for the crime of prescribing ivermectin in the US after it was banned. He's actually cleaning up a lot of good stuff. And I would love to just be sitting here and celebrating that and saying, greatest president of all time. Yeah. But I'm sorry, it turns out that, and I do not like saying this, but it turns out that Mel Gibson, Alex Jones, whole bunch of these guys who spent decades as the crazy uncles. Oh, yeah, he's been on the source a bit too much. Just don't listen to don't listen to him. Turns out, actually, a lot of what they said is kind of coming true. Yeah. Well,
I think I think we said this on Monday, but I think there was some deals made for the big beautiful bill. The reason that Epstein got quickly shut down. I think that, like I said, if you were to pull that thread, it would be catastrophic to the ruling class.
Yeah.
and they don't want that.
That's the issue. It would implicate members of the royal families of pretty much every royalty left in the world. It would implicate members of the wealthiest families in the world, the Saudi royal family, as well as a lot of Middle Eastern oil money, Russian oligarchy, not to mention Hollywood, Washington, D.C., all of the rest of it. They're all in there. Now, people have said, oh, this is a Mossad operation. I don't actually necessarily think it is. I think it is almost certainly what's happened is Epstein did it for his own pleasure and, got himself set up where he thought he would get away with everything and had Maxwell sort of under his spell. And then he started to get caught. And the FBI have basically sat down with him and said, we've got a deal to make with you. You can either go away for a long, long, long time, or you start to use this setup. We're not going to dismantle what you've created. We're going to let you continue human trafficking operations.
Yeah.
But you're going to start targeting these people and you're going to start giving us evidence and everything else. And it became an entrapment scheme. What began as him living out his pleasures became an entrapment scheme, I believe, at the direction of the CIA.
Yeah.
Through the FBI. And I don't see any need for it to have gone any further than that. Has it? Well, maybe. But without question, there is an enormous amount of information that is of tremendous public interest amongst those documents that Donald Trump is saying they're boring. Well, then release them.
Yeah.
Boring's not a reason to not put that into the public domain. And failing to do so will, unfortunately, cause people like me to no longer be able to actually really celebrate his wins when he does have them.
I think the whole thing is really, really fracturing the base. And I've noticed this now, like, not to conflate the two issues, but you know how we always talk about the woke left?
Yeah.
The woke right, or lack of a better word, is fracturing at record speed. And I see that. Again, I always say I pay attention to comment threads.
Yeah.
It is now at a point, and I've noticed this actually. Do you know what made me see this? You posted the segment from last week about the tickle versus giggle thing.
Yeah.
Now, I made a comment in there talking about how I understand that trans people exist, and I think it would be a terrible thing to have that psychological issue where you feel as though you're born in a different body.
Yeah.
And people literally tore me apart in the comment thread.
You did say it a slightly different way to that. I will say that even as I was sitting here, I went,
I can appreciate that that's a real psychological problem.
No, I'm the same, but the implication of how you said it was that therefore if it's real in their case, then they should be able to go into girls' bathrooms.
That's not how I said it.
I don't think that's what you meant.
No.
But it is the way it came out. I can understand where the commenters were coming
That's
from.
not at all what I was saying. My thing is, like, it's like saying that schizophrenia isn't real.
Yeah.
People who hear voices in their head, hear them.
Yeah.
And that's a psychological diagnosis.
Yeah.
I think trans stuff is a psychological diagnosis. Yeah. And I can appreciate that if you're born with your wires crossed, that must be torturous.
If you think you're in the wrong body, that would be a horrible, horrible thing to have to deal with.
But then you're like, when I was reading the comments, it is very clear that either you adopt this particular point of view on trans stuff or you're out. And what I'm talking about there is the bucket thing. I've brought it up a few times.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that those people exist. I don't want men in women's sports. I don't want men in women's spaces. But I'm not going to then turn around and say trans people aren't real.
Yeah.
It's a psychological problem.
But I think there's a bit of a straw man element happening here because the way it came out of your mouth was understood differently to what you intended, which is I kind of paused in the moment. I decided not to. I probably should have asked you to clarify because I didn't think it had come out right because it didn't sound like what I knew you to believe. But I think if you actually go back and listen to it, just for what is actually said and the context in which those words are used and people who don't know you listening, I think it sounded a little different to how you intended and therefore they've responded accordingly. I don't think anyone in the comments is saying people who believe that they're born in the wrong body don't exist. I think they're responding to their perception that what you said was that if they're real, if they're legitimate, then they should be allowed in women's bathrooms, which I know is not what you said.
I don't think I said that because I rewatched the segment.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Well, even at the time, I was like, oh, do I need to get you to, because this is going to cause, well, okay, fine, all right.
Push back.
Fine.
But yeah, no, my argument is, I think I went on to then say that the person we were talking about looks like a creep.
Yeah.
And I talked about Lily Tino and stuff like that. But what I'm getting frustrated with when it comes to all of this stuff on the right side of politics is now everyone's arguing with everyone. And this Epstein stuff is the catalyst again for just more fracturing.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly frustrating because we're all getting sidetracked by little side quests.
Yeah.
And
there's a really easy way to cut through all this noise. Look for the people, whether they're politicians, whether they're commentators, whether they're mates and friends of yours or family members, whatever. Look for the people that change what they believe about something based on who said it, rather than based on what was said. If someone has changed their stance on Epstein's files because that's just a Democrat talking point. Oh, now Trump wants it. Oh, yeah, release the files. Oh, now Trump doesn't want it. Oh, that's just a Democrat talking point. You know you're dealing with someone who's tribal rather than someone who's actually factual. People like you and I have been saying all the way through, release them. I don't care if it does damage.
Yeah.
You know, the Democrats want it released, good. Then they should join up with the Republicans that 5 minutes ago were saying they wanted it released and get it released.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and that's the difference between someone that's actually standing on principle versus someone who's just being tribal.
Yeah. I find it really disheartening because now, you know, I've tried to sort of turn away from X a little bit because it is very clearly an echo chamber unless you go looking outside it. But seeing all these sort of prominent right influencers, for lack of a better description, now all attacking each other, I just can't be bothered. I hate that shit.
But this is why I lost interest instantly with the whole House in a Habit and
Candace Owens.
Owens. And it's like, guys, get a room, sort it out. Whichever one of you is still alive at the end, come back out and start posting on social media again. But could you please just kill each other in private?
I hate drama. I hate that shit.
You love it.
No. I hate it when people sit there and go for the jugular over ad hominem stuff or he said, she said.
Yeah.
I love a good debate and I love sitting there like really facing off with someone about ideology or whatnot.
Sure.
But sitting there going, oh, well, look at this thing here and look at what she wore.
It's basically just reality TV.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
In a different format.
Yeah.
I'm not here for it, that's
for sure. It's insulting to my intelligence. Yeah. And I think really...
If I had any intelligence, it'd insult mine too.
But I thought, like, I don't think there's much more to say on Epstein, but this kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about with Latham, right?
Right.
Because I see the overall sentiment, and I am generalizing, but the overall sentiment...
Give me a rundown on what's going on, because I'm not sure that I'm even across it.
Okay. The overall sentiment is that our politicians should be making better policies.
Yes.
And should be doing things differently and should be held to a higher standard. But then you get something like this story, which I'll explain in a second, that gives you a window into just how fucked up their own lives are.
Right.
And like, these are the people we're electing. We want them to be this sort of like bastion of principle and values and morality, yet we see what they're like.
Right.
How can you expect someone who's like that in their own personal life to then go and make policies that are all for us as a collective to, you know, excel?
Bring me up to speed, because I've already got quite a different view to that.
Okay, so Mark Latham, I've actually got the Herald Sun's rundown on this because they did like a timeline of him. So where are we? Can I read out his text on this? I mean, I don't see why not.
I mean, basically, what he was having an affair? What was...
No, he wasn't having an affair. So he was... let me pull up the article for you so you can read. He was in a relationship with this woman.
Sure.
What's her name? I'm so sorry. Nathalie May Matthews. So they were together for 2 years, but she has now accused him of degrading sexual acts, an alleged abusive behavior and domestic violence.
Right.
So this is all coming out, and now there's been a leak of the text messages. So he said he had scores of documents disproving her allegations of abuse.
Yep.
Multiple intimate text messages have been leaked to the media. Now, without getting too into it, she's basically accused him of defecating on her and not allowing her to wash, calling him master and all sorts of stuff. And now, look, I'm not going to sit here and sort of weigh in on the way people do things in their private lives. But when you see the language, this man's 64. This is like talking about your dad having sex. It makes me so uncomfortable. But he's basically saying, like, as the old saying goes, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. He's basically saying she's making it up.
Right.
And then you read the text messages between the two. So obviously the grey here is Latham.
Yeah.
You know, Master's cock needs relief too. I'm very hard thinking about you. I'm sorry, but reading someone else's sexting conversation just fills me with ick.
Sure.
Like, again, in context, if you're in love with this person, it might be better received. But reading it, like, outside of this...
It depends so much on the dynamic of what's going on inside the
100%.
relationship. I've never sent a text like that. I've never received a text like that. Would I be happy to receive a really grotty, filthy text from my wife? Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. That'd be no problem. And I'll respond in kind.
I'm dying. I don't want to know about it.
But you can't. No, honestly. So the thing that you said earlier was, we want these people to write better policy, and we want these people to sort of have these moral standards. Blah blah. Those are two separate things. And I think one of the mistakes that we make is when someone can convince us that he's a wonderful family man.
Yeah.
Therefore he's going to make good policy. Well, no. One does not follow the other. The guy could be an absolute rolled gold idiot. He could be an agrarian socialist. He could be going to run the country into the ground. But what? Because he has kids that know how to smile on stage, we assume that therefore means they're going to make a great leader, a great politician. We've actually got to separate those two things. I think one of the mistakes that we've made is thinking that what we need to do is find people with greater virtue and put them in those positions. No. What I think we need to do is just find the people that have nothing left to hide. Find the people that have already been raked over the coals. Find the people that, they're disgusting, but we know that's the devil we know. Yeah. Because I'm sick and tired of this. So like Trump? Well, yeah, in a way. I'm sick and tired of this roller coaster of, we found this amazing person, we're going to put them up into this position. And then, of course, people go hunting through their background and people come out with accusations, maybe true, maybe false, I don't know. And we go, oh, no, that person's not who I thought they were. Oh, dear. Well, let's just grab the person that's already been destroyed. Yeah. Let's go and find Wayne Carey. Yeah. Okay? And let's go, hey, listen, what would you push through as a policy? Would you know anything more about how to run the country? Because he's already been ripped through the coals. We already know, all of that background. We already know that about him. I'm tired of this assumption that people make that, this person seems really nice and virtuous, therefore they're going to have good policies. No, I don't have to live with them. I don't have to like them. I'm never even going to have a barbecue with them. I just want them to make good policies that get the government out of my life.
Yeah. I think this sort of ties into what we were talking about on Monday as well, when we were talking about meritocracy and mediocrity, because a lot of these politicians are just mediocre people. Yeah. They're poorly developed when it comes to emotional intelligence. They're poorly developed intellectually. Yep. Clearly, they've been sheltered because they've been in the public service a long time. Yep. And they're also basically catatonic to the real world because they exist in this microcosm of politics. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not the real world. Yep. But I just thought this was really interesting because now, it's a big scandal. Apparently he's had lots of scandals. This article, I've got the app on my phone and the app article is totally different to this one. So let me just pull this up. But they were talking...
He's had a lot of scandals over the years, yeah.
Yeah.
Messy personal life, messy political life.
Yeah.
Substance abuse at times.
Violent.
Yep. He can be explosive temper.
Yeah, so he's smashed cameras from paparazzi or journalists, sorry.
So some time ago, he came to a conference that I was at and the word was put out that he was looking for someone who was savvy with social media who could do camera work and editing and do his social media for him. This might have been at the time when he was working with One Nation. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember that particular detail. And I went and had a chat with him thinking that I wanted to throw my hat in the ring and try and maybe pick up that gig because I could have used the income. And then after watching him over the 2 days of the conference and having not even a 6 or 7 minute chat with him, I just went, actually, yeah, you know what? I'm going to let someone else have that privilege.
Yeah, okay.
Now, that says nothing to the actual accusations that have been made against him here. I'm not commenting on that at all. But he's not the nicest person in the world. He's not the most congenial person in the world. But this is why, I dedicated an entire chapter in my book in defense of assholes. Do you want someone who's going to, if you're electing a politician who's going to stand for something, the nice guy probably doesn't have what it takes to cop all the slings and arrows that are going to come the other way.
Can I push back on that just a bit?
Yeah.
I think if you are definitively an asshole and someone who across lots of sections of life is an asshole, then no, categorically, no, I don't think you're right. What I like is that you have been an asshole and realized that potentially where you've misstepped and you have learnt from that and grown. Doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes. I think there's a separation here. I'm deemed an asshole because I'm very disagreeable. So, if you're looking at Jordan Peterson's scale of all that, I'm very disagreeable. So people go, oh, God, she's difficult. Yeah. So therefore I'm an asshole. Well, no, my actions aren't asshole-like. You're just deeming me to be that because I'm not, basically complying with what you expect.
The trouble is that almost every single hero from history would fail any kind of asshole test that we would apply to them today, from having affairs and children to mistresses, to owning slaves, to potentially raping slaves in the case of Washington. So many people throughout history from all walks of life would instantly fail the arsehole test.
But that's also a big problem that sets everyone up to fail, is that we are trying to judge people from previous times by today's standards.
Sure. But if you'd walked down the street during, Victorian times were a bit salacious, but there are times in history in the US and in the UK where even by the standards of their time, they were assholes. They would have instantly failed any morality test. And yet these are the people, and so people that are tearing down statues and saying, oh, this person isn't who you think they are. I don't think we should tear down the statues, but there's actually truth to what they're saying. They're not wrong. Right? These people failed in all kinds of horrific and horrible ways. But the point that I make in my chapter about In Defense of Arseholes is that the person who is out there in one way is the person who's going to be willing to be out there in another. So I would actually directly disagree with your contention. I would actually say the person who has failed in all these other ways and has copped the slings and arrows and has been willing to be different and be an arsehole. And I use the example of Ignaz Semmelweis, the man who first discovered rediscovered hand washing. It's something that was known in antiquity, but we forgot about it. He was an arsehole in every way, politically, in his personal life, as an individual, just to actually deal with, and his work. Nobody liked him. He ended up dying in an insane asylum because they just literally wanted to get rid of him. They tricked him into walking into an insane asylum to go and treat a patient, and they locked him in.
Yeah, okay.
And he died in there only a couple of weeks later because they beat him up, and he died of an infection, which is ironic given that infections was what he'd figured out how to largely reduce. This was a deeply, deeply, deeply unpleasant man. And because he was a deeply unpleasant man, we ignored him. And we never should have. Another example I give is the example of Claudette Colvin. Now, she was Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks was Rosa Parks. She was the first person to refuse to move to the back of the bus, and she did it 9 months before Rosa did, and Rosa actually credits Claudette with the idea. The reason why we know Rosa Parks and we don't know Claudette Colvin is because Claudette Colvin was also soon afterwards pregnant out of wedlock as a 15-year-old black girl in the South.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Now, I put it to you that the psychological predisposition that made her the person willing to be arrested, criticised, railed upon, blah, 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 is the exact same psychological predisposition that made her more liable to step outside all of the other social norms and go and get knocked up at 15 years of age as a single black girl in the Deep South. I put it to you that one of those things comes with the other, and that almost always when we go looking for a hero, what we actually need to be looking for is an arsehole.
Yeah, okay. It's an interesting take. I don't know if I agree with it. Oh, look at us disagreeing on the podcast.
I mean, you're allowed to be wrong. That's one of the things that we're allowed to do here. We're allowed to let Carly be wrong. Yeah.
Get fucked. No, look, and this is the point. I'm thinking about this as I'm talking it, so forgive me if it comes out incorrectly, but what I get frustrated with is this inability for us to accept that people are learning as we go. I don't think anyone has the answers. None
Except
of us.
Me. Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
Wow, you really are like my little sister, aren't you?
No, but do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And again, judging. This even happens today. Judging someone based on your assertions of what is right versus wrong or what is the correct way of thinking, when unknowingly they probably have a total different upbringing to you.
Yeah.
And I use myself as an example in this. I did not grow up in this country.
Sure.
I grew up overseas. I see the world very differently. And when I moved from Japan to Sunbury, that was very obvious. It's only with, hindsight I can look back at that and go,
I can't understand why that would be like culture shock. Like, where were you in Japan?
Kobe,
yeah. Kobe to Sunbury.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought you'd even notice the difference.
Correct.
And this is when, what decade was this?
Mid-90s.
Yeah, no, identical.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I'm like, I grew up catching a monorail to school.
Yeah.
And I moved to Sunbury where we still have like unpaved roads,
Yeah.
But no, my point is how intolerant we are. And I sound like a fucking lefty now. And I get accused of this on the podcast often. I'm not. I'm merely arguing for the fact that it is impossible to get people to align with you 100% of the time on everything. And this is what's very healthy. And even like just reading the comments on our segments, people seem to be really like shocked that this is a conversation.
Yeah.
That we're not just sitting here going, this is what to think, this is how I believe it, and this is what you should believe too. And I think what's interesting is a lot of what you put up for the Topher project is you going, this is my point of view.
Yeah,
blah.
I'm very polemic. I'm very much, this is how I see this issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas when you and I are talking, it's literally like a tennis match, back and forth, back and forth. And so it seems like people are put off by that discussion, which I would argue.
I think you're way too harsh on our audience. I really do.
Do you?
Yeah, I think you are. I see. We have talked about this before. I'm going to let everybody behind the curtain a little bit. I don't normally peel this back in public, but we've talked about the fact you're comparatively new to this world. And your skin isn't quite as thick as it needs to be.
Yeah.
You're still a bit more affected by comments and things. And look, you're working on it. You've come a long way. Think back to the dark days and how affected you were then. You've come a long way. But we just spend a lot more time. Sorry, audience. I'm going to insult you here. The audience just isn't that interesting. I'm sorry. Can we just move on?
I'm interested in how people react to what's happening in the discourse, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not personally attacked by these comments. I couldn't give a shit what people think about me. You don't know me. But what I'm interested in is just looking at the behavioral patterns of how intolerant, not just our audience, just people in general are to people sort of starting to sift out what works for them and what they agree with. And I think weirdly, everyone is sort of hoping that we eventually get to this utopia where everyone's on the same page. I just don't think that's possible. It's never happened. It will never happen.
We need a utopia where I rule the world and everyone does what I say.
So basically, you want to be a totalitarian dictator? Or yeah. But this group...
Maybe without the tater.
The tater?
A totalitarian dictator without the tater.
A totalitarian... Yeah, gotcha. These jokes aren't landing for me today.
Sorry, I'm on another level. Off in space, I think, is the term.
But does that make sense? Like, I just find it so interesting. And I've seen this, like, during COVID as well, because there was a real fracture with the...
You do realise we've done this whole section with a completely wrong graphic on the screen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
We were talking about this and whatever. Anyway, I can't do both when I'm ranting and arguing with you.
Yeah.
But I saw this during the COVID years, right, when we were all speaking up about different parts that were affecting us. I was particularly focused on small business.
Sure.
You were speaking about
Killing
human
grandma.
rights,
Killing grandma.
and all that.
Yep.
And then there were other people who were particularly fixated on the vaccine.
Yep.
Not to say one was right or wrong.
Yep.
It was just because I was speaking specifically about small business. I'll give you an example. I went into the city when everything was still like really harsh lockdown. And that was the first time I'd gone into the city during the lockdowns, and I saw all the riot police and all the police, and there was military vehicles, and I remember thinking, what the fuck? And that was for a small business protest.
Yeah.
And what happened? Do you remember this? We were at Flinders Street Station, and that's where all the press was. And then all these, I'm going to use the word anti-vax, so I'm not using it to degrade. I'm just saying that's who these people were. They all came up the escalators and co-opted our protest.
Okay.
And why I was angry, and I went out on Discernible, was talking to Matt Wong about this, and then I copped shit for it because I was saying those guys completely drowned out our argument. They co-opted our protest to push theirs, and I understand theirs, and I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with it.
Yeah.
I was there to speak about small business, and I was so angry. And then the anti-vax crowd was angry at me because I wasn't pushing their thing. And my frustration, and the reason I'm bringing this up is we all have different things that affect us. And it's like, this is why I don't talk about Israel. No disrespect, guys. It doesn't impact me. I'm not saying I don't care. I don't like people dying, but I don't care. It's not in my realm. So am I a bad person because I haven't spoken about Israel? No, I don't think so.
So one of the challenges when you get to an era like the lockdown era is that you've got different depths and different layers of issues. So I had a bit to do with Sam Newman at the time. And he was speaking out about golf clubs and golf courses and everything else. And I managed to get his phone number through a mutual acquaintance, and I reached out to him, and to his credit, he replied to me. We texted back and forth a little bit. And I basically said, look, I love the fact that you're speaking out on the golf courses. This is so important, and I'm so grateful that you're someone with something to lose. You've got a profile. Thank you for speaking out, sticking your neck out when so many people won't. Will you also stick your neck out for speaking out against lockdowns? Will you come to the next anti-lockdown protest? Will you stand with us in that? And he declined, which is his right to do.
Yeah.
But the point that I made to him, which obviously fell on deaf ears, was the golf course closures are a subset of the overall lockdowns. If we fix the lockdowns, we fix the golf course closures. You sitting there saying, can we just create a special exemption for golf courses because golf is different? that's not gonna wash.
That was self-serving almost.
Correct. And I don't know that he intended it that way. I think in his mind he was being strategic. He's like, this is a chink in their armor. We can make this argument.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, the reason he was passionate about it was because it affected him.
Yeah, of course.
And so, of course, the wider movement is not going to coalesce around him and go, let's stop talking about the fact that people are going bankrupt and losing everything and blah, 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 and let's come down and just talk about people want to play golf. And so I think for a lot of the people that were there with sort of the opposed to the mandatory jabs, etc., would have viewed the impact on small business as a subset.
Yeah, okay.
If we get rid of the lockdowns, if we get rid of the jab mandates, everyone's allowed to work and everyone's allowed to go and shop and do all of that, the challenges for small businesses go away.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that any of them would have necessarily consciously thought it through to arrive at that conclusion, but I suspect that would have been a part of their own sort of sense of moral rightness and righteousness, why they would have felt entitled to come in. I'm not saying it's right, but they would have felt entitled to come in and say, you're protesting small business, we're protesting the next level up above that. If our protest gets heard, your problem gets fixed.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I think there's merit in that. But I also believe that you can't speak about things unless you have some skin in the game in a way that will have deep impact. Not to say that you can't comment and discuss it. What I was saying is I was a small business. All my clients were small businesses. So I could speak from that level of experience.
Sure.
And I could be an advocate because I had skin in the game. Whereas, for example, the Israel thing, I have no skin in that game.
Yeah.
So my voice is just, I don't know if it's useful.
Yeah.
And I know what people are going to say, like, you don't have to, this is the Douglas Murray thing. You have to have gone to Israel to be able to speak about Israel. No. I don't think that's the case. But what I find really interesting is how intolerant people are when they're speaking up for something that's directly impacting them. The golf course thing, I can see what you're saying. I guess it depends on how selfish that matter is. But for example, when it comes to issues on the right and talking about men and women's spaces or, like socialist policies, they're all very different things. And if you throw that all at your centrist, politically apathetic person, it's impossible to digest.
Yeah.
I would say that fracturing off to a degree is useful for getting arguments across. But when you do fracture off like that, it's not in a fuck you to all the other things. It's more so like a, hey, I'm tackling this topic and this is what I'm good at.
To be clear, I am an advocate for that. Each person tackling the thing that they are passionate about. I wasn't going to go and argue for golf courses to get opened because I don't play golf.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with people tackling the thing that is in front of them, the thing that really fires them up, because that also means that it's going to be sustainable. They're going to keep going. They're not just going to be a flash in the pan because we're asking them to campaign for something they don't really care about. I've advocated before, should we be trying to run court cases to get accountability? Yes. Should we be doing public awareness and hearts and minds campaigns? Yes. Should we be doing every single thing we can think of? Yes, we should do all of them. So I don't begrudge people campaigning or doing the thing that they believe is the thing that they want to do. But I can also understand why some people would want to cut through and say, no, this message, our message is the bigger one. I kind of advocated for that exact thing during the mid stages of the protests. Things were really starting to fracture in terms of the messaging. And you'd go to these protests and you'd see, end the lockdowns, sack Dan Andrews, stuff that's all pretty well on message. And then you'd have a sign, and usually they'll try and work their way right up next to the speakers, jail the pedophile politicians.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is a problem, not because it isn't necessarily true, but because we're trying to win over an apathetic public.
Yes.
Exactly what you said. And a lot of people are feeling the pain of the lockdowns, and most people don't care about politics until it hurts them. So the silver lining is lots of people are getting hurt, and so they're starting to pay attention for the first time. They no longer feel like the Liberal Party represents them, no longer feel like the Labor Party represents them. They go looking for a new home, and they see us.
Yeah.
And they go, sack Dan Andrews. Yeah, I want to sack that guy. Open our churches. Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. I don't go to church, but yeah, absolutely. End the lockdowns. Yeah, hell yeah, brother. Jail the pedophile politicians. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And we lose them, not because that's wrong, but because it's a step too far.
Well, there's also, I can't remember her name.
Sorry, to be clear, it's a step too far for people that are waking up for the first time. I want to clarify that. Yeah.
That's my point. I'm not saying that you can't talk about what you're doing. What I'm saying is, like, for example, I've noticed this in the comment section, and I'm not attacking people. I'm also saying, like, I think this deserves a discussion. Because, okay, like, for example, you'll put something up and people go, well, you haven't talked about the WASP files, Topher, and you haven't done this. And and I see that in the comments, and that's why I'm bringing it up. Because it's like, okay, we have a finite amount of time. And if you believe that to be so important, I'm not weighing into it either way. Please make the video.
The WASP file guys are doing a good job of talking about the WASP files. I have nothing to add at this moment in time. Right. And
just because we haven't talked about it doesn't mean that we, don't care or whatever. It's like, do you want to listen to a 16-hour podcast? Like,
what I refuse to do is create videos and content where I'm just saying what's already been said. Right? I am silent on the vast majority of issues because I don't have anything new or different or insightful to add. I will speak up once I look at something and go, hang on, the media coverage on that hasn't covered this important aspect, or I can connect that with another thing that happened back here and draw out of that a lesson or a learning or a perspective that I think is important that no one else has covered yet. By definition, if I tried to cover the WASP files, what am I going to cover? Nothing new.
Just to clarify, I can't cover anything new. This is Martin Bryant.
And Port Arthur and all of that. I have nothing new to add. The WASP files guys are doing a good job covering it from every single aspect, interviewing all the different people, going through everything in detail. They are so much further and deeper into this than I could ever hope to be. That I have nothing. There's no contribution I can make, and that's true of issue after issue after issue.
Are you familiar with the expression that honey attracts more ants than vinegar?
Yeah.
I feel like people need to learn that because it's the same thing. And I think there's a very big difference between your audience and my audience.
Sure.
So my audience on Instagram, I would say they are relatively centrist moderates who feel disenfranchised. They are people who are active in their own lives. They've got their businesses, they've got their families, they've got their careers. And when things happen, whether it's youth crime, home invasions, COVID lockdowns, that's when they're like, hang on a minute, there's a problem, we need to address it. They're not like you and I watching the news all day, every day. They're not deep diving into...
I have a new challenge for you.
Yeah.
Today is, as we record this, the 16th of July.
Yeah.
Until the 16th of August, you are banned from talking about the audience. On the Oddcast or on the Oddcast Lives. Okay, you're banned. That's it.
But then I can't be the Brett Cooper of Australia and talk about the comment section.
Okay. If you want to bring up specific comments, then fine. But listen, we've got a third person in the room right now, which is the audience, and you've spent the whole episode telling them how wrong they are.
I wasn't telling them that. I'm more so bringing out the fact that I think these discussions are important, and I'm not just talking about our audience. I'm talking about in general, like. When people are putting information out there, you don't have to take it verbatim. And if it doesn't sound like something you agree with, you can just go, you know?
Next topic.
Yeah. I find, and this is the thing. I don't think we can get to any definitive answer on any of these things that we're talking about. Or you might feel differently because you believe you're right about everything.
No, but sorry, believe? I am right about everything.
But I think there's always going to be question marks. And the same with the Epstein stuff. I don't believe we'll ever know the answer. I don't think we'll ever get all that information.
You're probably right, yeah.
I don't think in a lot of life we'll ever get the full answer on anything. We won't ever get the full answer about COVID.
But it's also that thing of if I've seen a truck run off the side of the road, smash into an apartment building, or let's make it worse, smash into an orphanage, burst into flames and kill 50 people, I don't have to know how to drive a truck to know that shouldn't have happened. I don't need all the details of exactly what went wrong and how to know that something's gone horribly wrong and someone hasn't done their job properly. Was it the road maintenance wasn't done properly? Was it the truck maintenance? Was it the driver? Was it the engineering in the first place? What happened? Well, I don't need to be able to figure out precisely what happened to know that something horrible has happened here. And so when it comes to something like Jeffrey Epstein, I don't need the files to know that just by the behaviour of everybody, it's a little bit like when Macron and Keir Starmer and so forth were caught with cocaine on that train coming out of Kiev, right? I don't need a lab test on whatever was inside that little sachet that he had inside the tissue to know that they were doing something dodgy. All I need is to be able to look at his body language. And I go, there was a train, there was a truck smash here. A truck crashed here, right? I don't know exactly how, I don't know exactly what's happened, but a truck has crashed here. It's the same with Epstein. It's the same with a lot of these things. And what someone like Trump is doing when he talks the way he did in front of the helicopter, the clip you played a little while ago, is he's saying you don't need the details. You just need to trust me when I say that nothing happened here. It's like, well, hang on. You're right that I don't need the details, but don't ask me.
But don't gaslight me.
Yeah, don't ask me to not notice the flaming orphanage sitting in front of me.
Yeah. No, I get that. And there's moments where I do slip into the black pill. I won't lie. Because you sort of go, we can't compete with the blob. The blob is going to blob.
But this is why we have to focus on what we can change.
Yes. Yeah. And I was saying that G and I were having this discussion last week when all this Epstein stuff went down. And we were both saying the same thing. It's like, there was a moment there, I think, when Trump got elected last year where we also thought, wow, there might be some accountability.
Yeah, there's some hope here.
I think the hope has well and truly dissipated now.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, it is going to fuel a lot more people towards the black pill. And I can understand that. I'm not going to criticize that. I get why people would go in that direction. But I would really encourage people to channel their energy towards what they can control rather than becoming obsessed with the things that they still can't control.
Yeah. I think that's why it was really good what we talked about on Monday. We've talked about it a couple of times now. Upskilling, getting really interested in something. And, that's what I was sort of leading to before. There'll be things that you're just naturally drawn to.
Yeah.
For example, I'm drawn to a lot of culture stuff because I'm an arty-farty creative and I love music and I love movies and then by and large there's the whole subculture around that.
Yeah.
And so naturally when the news pops up, I go, oh yeah, I'll pay attention to that.
Whereas I'm drawn to economic stuff because I'm a grifter that loves money.
Yeah.
So, horses for courses.
Horses for courses. Yeah. And like, for example, with the news, I do have access to Financial Review, Wall Street Journal and things like that. I could never read that thing from back to back.
Oh, no.
But when they're talking about something that's somewhat interesting to me, I'll go read that. I'll dabble.
Oh, I can't read them from back to back either. I get too angry.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. So angry. I can't buy a newspaper anymore. Like I used to go to cafes from time to time.
Yeah, read it.
And I'd buy a coffee and sit down and pick up the newspaper off the table and start to read it. And I would just find myself pulling out my phone, taking photographs of articles. Like, can you believe this shit?
Yeah.
And people looking at me funny. Like, this guy just comes in here and takes photos of the newspaper all morning.
Do you know what? Do you remember, like, I've always been a publishing person and, that's why my first job was in publishing. I thought I wanted to be not a magazine editor, but I wanted to be the art director.
Sure.
That was my goal.
Yep.
And, that around the GFC, that all went to shit. And I got pretty close to that goal. And then it's like, the whole Wizard of Oz, you see behind the curtain and things aren't what you thought. And a lot of it, and this is just my experience, it may have totally changed because this is quite a few years ago now, but it was really shocking to me, and this might sound like an obvious statement, but it was really shocking how things were published, how they actually got into the magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And how much good stuff was left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
And how much stuff that people would pour their heart and soul in, and then the article would get pulled because an advertiser said no, or this person said no. And then, I guess I learned that lesson really early in life, that it's not about what's right.
But that's not just happening with glossy magazines talking about lifestyle or home design or whatever.
No, that's
happening in the news. Entire topics, stories are being pulled because an advertiser's not going to want it. And we saw that happen with the firing of Tucker Carlson from Fox News because Lachlan Murdoch made a phone call.
Yeah.
They pulled literally the biggest show in America, fired him.
Yeah.
Because he was saying things that advertisers didn't want said. We know that this is why the media generally won't go against the government, because here in Australia, governments of all levels combined spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year on traditional mainstream media.
Yeah.
It is a fact. You can look at the numbers. These are publicly listed, publicly traded companies. It is a fact that there would be almost no mainstream media surviving in 2 years' time if all levels of government stopped all of their advertising. Well, they would collapse instantly.
That's what makes me really excited about this independent media space. Because it's really small in Australia. I wouldn't say there's anything like what America has here in Australia. I think there's a lot of people who come into this space
working on it.
and want to.
Yeah.
And then, as we know firsthand, you realize how much free will you have to put into it, like time.
Yeah, goodwill.
Goodwill.
Yeah.
Time and your own money before you ever get a reward.
And it's speculative. There's no guarantee that there ever will be a reward.
And also, there's no guarantee that it will happen in the next year, 2 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a long game. And you look at the OGs, right? Like a Friendly Geordies, who's got over a million.
Yeah, he's relatively new, but yeah.
Hasn't he been around for like 6-7 years?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, yes. I have a different time horizon to you with that.
Yeah. No, not to take away from what you've been doing for 16 years, sorry. But like looking at the podcast sphere.
Sure.
And this new independent.
When you say OGs, I go Rogan.
Yeah.
But if you're talking in Australia, we don't really have.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It's very in its infancy here in Australia. And I think it's not to say that people don't want to. I think it becomes really, like you get this like realistic reality check where you go, oh shit, to really get this going, it's going to require.
But it's also about critical mass. I get, on a good day, I'll get 50, 60,000 views on YouTube.
Not to brag.
Which is enough to scrape by because people also, buy me coffees or buy a T-shirt or something like that. Every day someone does something for me, and you add that to the YouTube ad revenue, and you kind of go, all right, I can make this work. If I was in America, just on population size alone, that would translate to over 500,000 views a day.
Yeah.
Let alone then they are much more politically passionate.
I was going to say, do you feel like Australians are slowly, I don't want to say waking up in the sense of waking up. Yeah. I mean, do you think Australians are starting to steer away from mainstream and start to go down these places?
Well, the numbers say they are.
Yeah.
There is definitely a shift that is happening. There is a increased willingness to consume and also to trust in the alternative media space. And there's less and less trust in the mainstream media space. What people are realizing is that whilst there may be a very big difference in how the content is delivered and in some cases how slick it is, fundamentally behind both is human beings.
Yeah. It's a likability relationship.
It is relationship based, but it's also people are realizing that just because it's on TV doesn't mean you can trust it. No. And that was the assumption, right? I saw it on TV, I can trust it. Now, of course, a lot of people have known that that's not true for a long time, but a lot of people are only just really coming to that now.
Yeah.
The next step of that is just because it's on the internet doesn't make it false.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't believe everything you read or see on the internet.
It's discernment, isn't it?
But just because it was delivered to you via the internet doesn't make it automatically not true. And more people are coming to terms with that changed paradigm, that changed reality, and that's only going to be good for us.
Yeah.
But critical mass is challenging in Australia. And for someone like me, I'm a libertarian, which is a niche political philosophy. Yeah. We get maybe 2.5% of the vote in any given election. In Australia, which is a relatively small country, and we love the fact that we're politically apathetic. We are proud of the fact that we don't talk about politics, money, or religion.
Yeah.
And when you put all those three things together, it's very difficult to build a critical mass, which is why most Australians that have made it have gone to America and made it over there.
Yeah.
Because that's, comparatively speaking, that's life on easy mode.
Yeah.
The critical mass is already there for you and they want your stuff. Whereas over here, you're pulling teeth to get people to pay attention to political content.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why you see, like I brought up the Shameless girls before. They're just one example of an Aussie success story. These girls are doing very well. They started with a podcast and they've been able to build out to other podcasts, and they now have a production company and they help other people.
But they've been really clever in that they've given themselves a very broad remit. Whereas I'm quite focused and narrow, and I'm quite focused and narrow into an area that most Australians don't care about.
Yeah.
So from a commercial, as a capitalist, you'd think I'd know better. But from a commercial point of view, I've made a lot of bad decisions that have made it very difficult for me. Now, that's because this is what I want to do, and this is a passion project for me, as well as now I am trying to make a living out of it. For them, evidently, that is what they're passionate about. But also, they've just made good commercial decisions and said, hey, we are going to segment and tell people very clearly who we're for, but that segment is going to be very large.
Yeah. I think also Aussies, by and large, are kind of like live and let live. They're very lackadaisical in the way that they approach things. And I think there's moments where they're passionate about something, but then it dissipates, life gets in the way and whatever. And, when I talk about an audience in general, I'm not talking about the people, when I say fringe, the people who are awake and politically activated, right? Like, cool, that's all of us. Yeah. Great. And everyone that's watching this is probably the same.
It's probably on that, yeah.
What you and I need to do, and other people in our space, is appeal to that centrist mass.
And that's exactly, number one, why I'm on YouTube.
Yeah.
People make comments with me at times, if you were on Rumble, you wouldn't have to censor yourself. Yeah, but also I would only be reaching the people that already agree with me.
Yeah, and we're trying to not be in an echo chamber.
But also things like, so I'm in discussions with the organisers of CPAC to run a session for CPAC Australia for this year. And my focus is it's essentially going to be a variety show. Music, comedy, skits, acts, that sort of stuff. And my focus is on making it the most awesome thing that anyone has seen at any Australian conference ever.
Yeah.
And my focus is on having people walk out going, we're the cool kids.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That's us.
Yeah.
We get to be the rebellious, irreverent, funny,
I don't
risque.
know about the CPAC crowd, though. That's not really their jam.
They'll probably have heart attacks. The pacemakers will be working overtime to keep them on.
I remember standing in the back of the room last year and just looking around going, everyone here is at least 30, 40 years older than me.
Yeah. Yeah, you are a spring chicken.
Yeah. But that's kind of my hope with these discussions. And I think with a lot of this stuff, it can be ego driven from a sense of I'm right, you're wrong, listen to me, I'm better than this person. And that's why when we were talking about the whole House and Habit Candace thing, I can't stand that. They've got both their own audiences. They're both doing well. Like let them, if there's crossover because it makes sense, awesome.
The problem is that the internet sphere rewards that
Drama.
kind of drama.
It does.
Correct. And so they actually both benefited. By having a beef, they both benefited.
And some part of me is like, yeah, was that planned?
Well, I mean, I don't think it was, but I've said before, if you want to guarantee that you are going to be able to make a living doing YouTube and you're a young person, move into a share house with 3 other YouTubers, male, female, doesn't matter. You can all have your own bedroom, your own production area, blah, blah, blah.
Rage bait people.
And just each of you create your own YouTube channel, and the entire focus of all 4 YouTube channels is how much you each hate all of your roommates.
I'm convinced that a lot of the LGBT stuff is just rage bait now. I'm convinced that most people don't actually believe a lot of this stuff.
So I don't know if you've had the news. YouTube are now going to be demonetizing unoriginal channels and channels that are just repurposing content and AI content, which is actually a bit of a shame because one of the ideas that I've had for a while is what if I just created faceless AI-driven channels that just take every side of a hot button issue? I don't care, right? I will create the most disgusting rage bait accusatory channel on every side of every if everyone's angry about something, on abortion, on Israel and Palestine, on let's pick on Ukraine and Russia, on Epstein, I'll start a channel defending Epstein. I'll start a channel, a minor attracted person, blah blah blah. But also on the other side, have these channels just all AI bots just written to rage and hate on each other. And I guarantee you would make a fortune, except that YouTube are now cutting that off.
Well, that and everyone's collective intelligence would just take a dive.
I don't think it can get any worse. I really don't.
I do. After reading some of these papers.
Oh, but yours is getting worse. Every single page.
Do you know what? Like I think this is my fascination, and I know you've told me off for talking about the audience. I'm not degrading them, but I'm just fascinated by.
I love you guys. Really, I do. I love you guys.
I'm fascinated by human behavior.
Sure.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, my whole career is about observation, and in this, I'm learning different ways to categorize behavior, and so you cop shit, I cop shit. I'm never personally attacked by it. I'm like, oh, whatever, dickhead. But I'm like, what made you say that? And I want to go behind that.
Sure.
And something that I want to encourage on this podcast and why I think this is a really good format is that you and I agree on most things. There's only occasions where we butt heads. I don't think we've ever butted heads.
I think we've done well this episode. We've actually had more disagreements in the last hour and 27 minutes and 2 seconds than we would usually have in a couple of episodes.
Yeah, but how healthy is that?
It's good. Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah.
Because it's just I just see things from the way I do, and then you're like, well, actually, this is this way.
You explain how you see the world, and then I explain how you're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also more we need to be a little bit more graceful about people who are stepping into this.
Sure.
And that's certainly something I've noticed. With particularly around hot button topics. Oh, you don't know the full extent of the truth. I'm like, they've just started reading it. Give them a break.
Yeah. So for anyone that hasn't heard me say this before that's listening right now, I view my self-prescribed role is as a first safe stepping stone.
You are the gateway drug.
I'm the gateway drug. And people that are already deep in this world love to sit there and go, oh, you haven't gone for, you don't know. And if you still think that, then you don't really know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. But I have a self-assigned role. And I'm delighted when I see people pointing to whether it's Maria Z or the WASP guys or these other guys. I'm like, yes, come via me and go and find those people. Absolutely.
If it
100%.
draws their attention, then great.
Yep, fantastic. That is exactly my self-prescribed role. But I have drawn boundaries around how far I will go on a number of different topics.
Yeah.
And there's a good reason for that, because I'm not going to, because my natural progression or anyone's natural progression is going to be to go deeper and deeper into that world until you can no longer connect with anyone who's not already deep in that world.
Yeah.
And I've made the decision I'm going to stay where I am as that first safe, reliable, sensible seeming stepping stone for people that are leaving the Matrix for the first time.
Yeah, and I think it's always nice to get, it's like you think of a Grand Central station or a Flinders Street station. That's where all the train lines run through. And then everyone gets on their different trains to go wherever they want to go.
Yep.
You need those big stations to be collection points.
Yep.
And that's how I kind of look at things too. Like, there'll be something that comes along, like, that will just take my attention and I hyperfixate on it for a couple of weeks. And then I go, feel like I've got a handle on it now.
Like my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen me just scowling at you?
Yeah. Great. I'm hoping that the laser beams coming out of your eyes will actually just
cut the hair.
Cut my hair.
I
hair
did
for me.
smell burning
You'll
flesh.
save me like $50. It's, you know.
Maybe I should give you a haircut live on the podcast.
Oh goodness,
that could be fun. I'm actually not too bad at cutting hair because I've had my hair cut so many times, obviously as a girl, but I've done a lot of social media and photography for hairdressers.
Right.
So I've watched them do stuff, and
see, my 5-year-old daughter also thinks she's pretty good at cutting hair.
Has she done the whole cut her fringe right off yet?
Thankfully, we found her after the first cut.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I did that. I did that once. So you know how I've got this widow's peak?
Yeah.
I'll put the camera, so you can see.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was like, I don't like it. So I literally grabbed that bit of hair and cut right, cut it off, thinking that would fix it.
Yeah.
It made for a very awkward 6 months. It's literally like little spikes just hanging out of my head. Yeah.
All right, what's our next topic?
Okay, so we've got a couple that we can tackle. The RBA proposes the ban. Do you want to go into
Let's
that?
do this.
All
Let's
right.
do this. So for those that don't know, my background, after I finished forklift driving, I moved into TV production, TV commercials, corporate videos, that sort of stuff. And I actually had to do a video because they've been talking about getting rid of these credit card surcharge fees, etc., time and again over years. It's been a very regular topic. And it's one of these classic ones that it seems very sensible because the soundbite, you go, oh yeah, because it hits a pain point. Get rid of credit card surcharge fees. Oh, yes, please. I'm sick of being charged extra.
Well, they give you that collective sum of like, it's going to save Australians $1.6 billion a year.
It will save us absolutely nothing because the credit card fees will simply get built into the price of the thing that we buy. But what a lot of people don't understand, and I didn't fully understand until I had to do this video that you're going to see shortly, is, well, those credit card fees actually exist for a reason. The credit card company that allows you to pay by going boop and gives you consumer protection and fraud protection, refunds if something wasn't delivered, blah, 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 as well as points programs and incentives programs, all of that costs money.
Yeah.
And so that has to get paid for somehow.
Yeah.
So maybe let's play the video.
All right. So I've got it queued up here. I will just start from the start. And there we go. Hang on. Make it fit on our screen. There we go.
There we go.
I love this thing, my magic plastic. I use it all day, every day. But have you thought about what has to happen in order for me to be able to do this? The payment gateway sends instructions from the buyer's bank to pay the vendor's bank. Sounds easy, right? It isn't. It's secure, authenticated, and instant. And all I have to do is tap. And in return for tapping, instead of using cash, I get an interest-free period, fraud protection if my card details are stolen, and rewards points. It's magical. And how does the credit card company pay for that magic? Interchange fees. The bank charges 0.5% for every transaction to the business taking the credit card payment. So, businesses have been paying for your rewards program. But have you noticed how bank fees keep going up? Interest rates are insanely high and rewards programs just aren't as good as they used to be. That's because interchange fees were first regulated down to 0.5% in 2003. The promise was that this would reduce costs to consumers and make things more affordable. But there's no such thing as a free lunch or a free card transaction. So, because the banks could no longer make enough money out of the vendors, they started making it out of the customers, you and me. In fact, economic modelling has found that regulating interchange fees has cost us billions of dollars. That's a lot of coffees. The lesson is simple. Regulating interchange fees actually makes this more expensive and less magical. And today the government is considering regulating interchange fees even further. They're saying it's going to reduce costs for people like us. But in reality, we're going to end up with the same results as last time. Increased fees and surcharges, slashed rewards programs, and cuts to our fraud protection and interest-free periods, and no reduction in prices. That's why I'm saying don't take the magic out of plastic. Interchange fees are just fine the way they are, and I need you to join me in telling the government to leave them alone. So sign the petition at don'tpassthebuck.com.au.
So I wrote and directed that shoot. That's one of the corporate videos that I did over the years, one of the campaigns that I was involved in over the years. Now that's aimed at a very specific subset of credit card fees. That's specifically the interchange fees. That's a bank-to-bank fee that gets charged. But the reason why credit card fees are what they are today is because they wouldn't allow the banks to charge interchange fees correctly at commercial value. But there's a commercial cost, and so they had to recoup that somewhere else. What do? Well, now you have to pay membership fees to credit cards. The transaction fees themselves on credit cards has gone up. The reason why we're talking about credit card fees today is because they tried to manipulate and regulate interchange fees 10 years ago.
Okay.
And if we do the same thing to credit card fees as what we did to interchange fees, they're just going to have to recoup that cost some other way. And because they've got no other options, they're just going to jack the price on every single thing up as though you're paying with a credit card for every single transaction, no matter what. That is my hill, and I'm willing to die on it.
No, it makes sense to me. I think a lot of this is just distraction. It's like, oh, we're going to do this good thing over here. Like, everyone get excited as we talk about raising GST. I don't know. Like, this doesn't interest me. Like, we're talking about 1 to 2 or 3%. And I see that at the
It does add up.
I get that. But, like, well, I can't do anything about it. You know, this is kind of the thing. I'm like, ugh.
But this is a classic political cheap shot where they've got advisors constantly market testing ideas, and they're trying to find what messaging is going to cut through.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. If they're going to do something that they fear is unpopular, they've got to try and find a few cheap, easy
Don't worry,
wins.
guys. We saved you money
That's
here.
right. To try and build a bit of political favour, curry a bit of political capital over here that they can spend over there. And this is just a classic example where the only people that this is good for is the politicians who get the sound bites and the applause. That's it.
Yeah, and like realistically, when we say 1.6 billion, I know to you and I, it's a lot of money. But when you just talk about how Victorian debt's almost at 200 billion, like what's 1.6? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, in the scheme of the size of the economy, and when you think about what it is that credit card companies are actually providing you with, they're saving companies from having to deal in cash. Now, I like cash and I want to keep cash alive and all the rest of it. I'm completely behind that campaign. But cash isn't free for a company to deal with.
No.
It has a lot of non-monetary costs in the form of time, usually for the owner after hours, going to the bank and doing a cash deposit because they don't want to have all that cash in their home overnight. There are issues around security. If you've got employees and you deal in cash, you're now having to spend money protecting yourself against having employees taking the money away from you. It's not a free thing. And a credit card transaction it's the most, forget the fact that it's fiat money and it's all built on a lie in the first place. Let's put that aside. Whether it's Bitcoin or whatever the underlying currency we're exchanging is, the fact that I can have a piece of plastic in my pocket, walk over to a thing and go, doot, and then that transaction gets completely sorted out. And if I use that thing online and I get defrauded or someone steals the numbers, I'm protected. The credit card company goes, hey, you know what? We've got this. They give me back my money, and then they go and chase the perpetrator with no guarantee they'll ever get that money back.
That just happened to me at the start of the year when I got robbed.
Yeah.
My wallet got stolen twice.
Yeah.
In 3-4 months.
Yeah.
And the second time they stole it, they racked up $1,500 of. They went tapping until my company just went, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
And I did. I got it all back. It took a little while.
It's a good thing the company stopped it, because those guys could have spent millions.
Yeah,
otherwise, just goodness, yeah.
I wish.
But and people might say, oh, but that's only a few $1,000s here and there. Think about the impact on the economy if that fraud protection didn't exist. If you knew that there wasn't fraud protection, that you were completely unprotected, your online purchasing behaviour would completely change.
Yeah.
In ways that would slow the economy down very, very significantly and make it much harder for people like me that sell books online or T-shirts or other things like that.
A lot of this, though, this thinking about, oh, we shouldn't have to pay these fees. I can't help but feel like this is a lot of socialist thinking, that we want a free ride for everything. We underestimate that behind all of these things. I can't believe I'm defriending credit card fees, but of course there's a cost. There's a labor cost. There's an equipment cost. There's a utility cost. who should be paying for it? The business. Who is the business?
Well, yeah, the business is just going to build whatever costs into their overhead, so it just goes into the shelf price. And yeah, I can't believe I'm defending credit card companies. I can understand the sentiment, but they are providing a service. And one of the things that people miss is the depth and the power of the truth that if you are not paying, you are the product.
Yeah.
Right. And we forget this with social media. We forget this with when people hand out freebies or when politicians offer free stuff. We forget if you're not paying, you are the product. And I would much rather pay for things. I would much rather deal with organizations that I know what they want. What they want is my money. Mm-hmm. The people that say, hey, I'll do that for you for free, not going to charge you a cent. Okay, then what's in it for you? What are you getting out of this? Because if I'm not paying, I'm the product. They are selling me in some other way. When it comes to social media companies, it's your eyeballs. They're selling your eyeballs to advertisers. Yeah. That's how they're making money out of you. You think social media exists for you. No, it doesn't. It exists to keep you on the platform so that you can be fed to advertisers. You are the product. Yeah. And when we say, that should be free, what we're actually saying is you should find some other way to monetize me. I should become the product that you're selling, not the thing that I want.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those areas where lots of people get pissed off with me, but I'm like, no, sorry. I don't like our current banks. I certainly don't like our current monetary system. There's an enormous amount wrong with it. But the idea that we're going to fix it by shuffling costs from, the person who uses the thing pays for the thing to they have to monetize it some other way is not going to help anybody.
Yeah. Well, this sort of segues well into this reel I saved that I thought was interesting. I'm just going to play it. I won't play the whole thing. I think it goes for about 2 minutes. Sorry, it's on Instagram, so I have to... I'm going to do...
You have to sell your soul to get access to it?
No, because it just autoplays, so I'm going to open it and then...
What happened to you? This used to be one of the most vibrant cities in the world. Our restaurant was once full, bookings every night, laughter echoing through the walls, and food made with soul. Now, we're lucky if a few tables fill. And it's not just us, it's all around. Small businesses are dying in silence while rent climbs, costs soar, and politicians pretend everything's fine. We're in a recession, whether they want to say it or not. People can't afford to go out. Families are struggling, and somehow the government still acts like this is just a phase. But it's not. It's the reality they helped create. The economy is tanking, and the people who built this city, the chefs, the creatives, the small business owners, we're the ones paying the price. We're closing down soon, not because we failed, but because the system did. So before we go, ask yourself this: where are you spending your money? Who are you choosing to support? And what kind of city do you want to live in? Because without small businesses, culture dies, community dies, and all that's left is soulless chains and boarded up shop fronts. This isn't just a goodbye, it's a wake-up call.
Yeah, spot on. This whole episode could become just my past videos being played. I did a video many years ago, part of a thing called the Lifestyle Regulation Madness series. I did it on King's Cross, where they brought in a curfew. And early, closing hours and so forth for King's Cross because 2 people had been killed in street fights. Mm-hmm. The irony was the curfew was 2 o'clock in the morning. The fatalities happened, I think one of them was at 9:30 at night and the other one was at about 10:30 at night. Mm-hmm. So how exactly this curfew was going to save people who were killed in the much earlier hours of the evening, I'm not quite sure. But I went to King's Cross and I covered that and talked about the impact that this was going to have, and that a lot of these established venues... there's a commoditization that happens when something is new and novel and interesting. You can, as a business owner, you can usually charge a higher margin. You can make more money because people are going to pay a premium for the curiosity, the novelty. Any new technology benefits from that. But over time, it becomes a commodity. And over time, an established restaurant, well, the people that are going to go and try it out have gone and tried it out. And now they just actually have to deliver. They just actually have to deliver good food at a good price, etc. They're competing in a commoditized, relatively speaking, commoditized marketplace, which means that your margins decline. Which means that over time, a business that is now successful and is making money and the business owner can keep it going, they're only able to keep it going because they've now streamlined everything. They've optimized everything. They've figured out all the 1%ers here and there over let's say 10 years of operation, and they can make it work. And then they get squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And then the economy goes bad like it is now, and they go out of business. And people go, oh, that's okay, a new one will start up. No. If the established one, that it had 10 years to sort out its systems and build up a loyal client base, etc., couldn't survive, a new one that is not going to be able to be as efficient will not survive. They will benefit from the novelty early on. They'll get the novelty boom, and as soon as that wears off, they don't have the 10 years of efficiency and optimization to be able to survive.
Yeah.
That's point one. Point two, when we have an economy that is officially growing on paper, that GDP is still going up. Well, GDP per person is declining very rapidly, and that matters. People say, it doesn't matter. Just so long as the GDP is going up, then there's still lots of money moving around the system. No, because our individual spending habits and where we spend our money is directly influenced by how much spare we have. A growing economy with the same number of people, which means that each of us individually now has more money to play with, is going to spend its money in very different places.
Yeah.
To an economy where the economy is getting bigger, but per person we're getting poorer. Our spending habits are going to be radically different in those two scenarios, even though the GDP growth might be identical. And discretionary spending, like restaurants, suffer enormously when individual GDP is declining, which is what's happening right now.
Well, I agree with you, but as I say, I have to bring it to the comments because, that's how we see it.
Sure.
We're entrepreneurial minded.
And we're right.
Correct. But I need to, and this is why I keep, as much to your dismay, keep focusing on comment threads.
Then talk about other people's comment threads, not ours, all right?
I read the comments where my attention
favour.
is. All right. So I'm just going to read you a handful of comments. There's quite a few, but I'll read the ones that stand out.
Sure.
Where's the first one? Okay.
You're going to put them on screen? Or?
Oh, I can, but you probably won't be able to read them. Okay. So to eat pasta, $43 a plate when it costs $1.99 in the shop. Thank you, I can cook it at home. I am shocked with terrible service in Australia. I live on the Central Coast and dirty tables and old chairs, no one cleaning their tables on time, rudeness of staff, and menu is horrible. Sorry, you asked why we're not eating out. I gave you my honest answer. And then another person says, where are Aussies spending their money? Mortgage and groceries. It's that simple. The house prices have gotten so high that everyone is just sitting at home watching TV like good little citizens, worrying about how they're going to pay for their $1.8 million shoebox.
Yeah, and that's that individual declining GDP.
Right, and then now we get into the other comments. When restaurants started charging $30 for a hamburger or $40 for a pasta, we stopped going out. It's priorities. And then someone's written, have you seen their menu, roasted wild clover lamb shoulder, potato and chicory for $79? No wonder no one's going out for that price. Wake up, guys. And then other people go, I totally agree with you. I've had restaurants all my life, but when you're dealing service in your locals, you tell me how you can afford a meal at the price. Roasted wild clover lamb shoulder, $79. That's just one person. It's not passing traffic about your local sport. Sorry, that's how it was written.
Yeah.
And then other people going, there's a combination of what people are blaming here. So I agree with the small business. I understand the sentiment.
Sure.
But people saying, no, you business, you're the one at fault. You set the prices too high. People aren't able to connect the dots with everything's gone up, therefore the business's overheads have gone up.
Look, there is a sliver of truth to the criticism in the sense that they've gone for a niche that is declining fastest. That's what's happening is within their particular area, as people pull back on the discretionary spending, one of the ways in which we do that, for someone who's already poor and wasn't eating out to begin with, they go from, having meat twice a week to never having meat. That's what it looks like for them. For someone who's a little bit wealthier, it goes from eating out once a month to never eating out. For someone who's wealthier again, it goes from eating out at the place that had the $79 rosemary lamb shoulder to eating out at the place that has the $40 Parma.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it looks like for them. So, in the same way that, when we have recessions, there are actually some businesses in Australia that do well, and those are specifically the ones that are catering to the people that used to go overseas for their holidays. And they go, we have to cut back. We're not going to Aspen this year. We're not going to go and ski in Switzerland. We're going to go and do something in Australia instead, right? And there are actually businesses that can actually pick up under tough economic conditions if they're in the right niche.
Yeah.
So the criticism that, your food's too expensive, well, that's a niching issue. There are restaurants that are surviving better.
But I would argue that's like saying that Louis Vuitton bags are too expensive. I'm like, to you? Yeah, because
exactly.
you're not meant to buy them.
But as a business, you have to appeal to a niche that exists.
Yes.
And so evidently what's happened is in their particular locality, they don't have enough people willing to come out and buy a $79 rosemary lamb shoulder, and they're suffering. Now, they could shut their doors, which, by the way, doesn't mean the owners are bankrupt. It could mean we've run this business for a long time.
Then it's not having fun anymore.
We're not having fun. We're losing money month by month, and we're going to shut it down before we've lost all our money.
Or,
we're going
So there's a couple of things here, but before I go into it, the first thing I wanted to explain, you would probably have a word for this, but we are now so entitled that we, the average Joe citizen, believe, and I think social media plays a big role in this, that we should be able to achieve the lifestyle of those who are significantly wealthier than us.
Sure.
So it's literally that social comparison theory that I mentioned. But, you will see someone, celebrity, who is able to go and get facials every week and buy fancy clothes and drive a nice car. And what you see is people trying to mimic that lifestyle. They don't have the same income. They don't understand wealth, but they're going out and rushing out and buying all this stuff to look rich.
Yeah.
I think there's an element of that. There's, for example, in Melbourne, we used to have, and unfortunately most of them have gone under, but a really big culinary culture.
Yeah.
Some incredible restaurants.
At any given moment in time, there would be multiple Michelin-hatted restaurants within Melbourne.
Like, for example, I remember going to Vue de Monde for my 30th birthday with a friend. We both turned 30 and we're like, let's go to Vue de Monde. Now, that is not a restaurant I would go to regularly. I haven't been since. Yeah. It was very expensive. I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. And that was a nice thing to do.
That's because you didn't see the men's urinals.
Oh, they're yes, I have seen them. Yeah.
Very confronting.
Yeah. You kind of like make eyes with people across the... Yeah. Yeah.
Not a pleasant peeing experience, I can tell you that.
But so the story about that is like I have not been super wealthy in my lifetime to go to these places where that sort of wears off. It was lovely. And I overdressed because I thought it was super fancy.
Yeah.
And I was way over... There was a guy next to us in jeans, for God's sakes. And I was like, oh, okay, I've underestimated. But isn't it funny... Because we ended up having a conversation with the guy that was there with his kid. Yeah. And they were just there for a dinner, bite to eat.
Yeah.
We're there for a 30th birthday and we'd saved up and went to go do it. And it was just a different experience. And, they're bringing out all the things and all the fun. Yeah. I understand that I can't afford that every day. Yeah. So that's okay. And that's fine. But whereas, someone that was commenting it's too expensive, maybe it's because... Maybe you're living outside your means. I think that there's an element of this as well.
Or just that even if they were, maybe they are living inside their means, but a $79 dinner isn't inside their means.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to defend those people and say they're responding to a restaurant that is saying, hey, why aren't you coming here? And they're saying, well, in my case, it's because that's an outrageous price to pay for dinner.
Yeah. I would argue with social media as well, often when you do put things like that out there, people who maybe you aren't trying to target will get targeted and then give their opinion.
Absolutely.
But I want to read you another comment.
Sure.
It's a little bit long. I'll bring it up, but you probably won't be able to read it. I stopped because every time I go out to a restaurant, I find the food standards are now appalling. You can see the Australian-trained chefs have been replaced by unskilled overseas migrants. Waiters are no longer friendly, can't describe the dishes on the menu, can barely speak English or be understood and misunderstand and get orders wrong. What previously was fresh food has been substituted for highly processed muck that takes no skills to assemble. I'm sick of cutlery and crockery being replaced with disposable wooden knives and forks and paper napkins. The menus have been simplified and are usually things so simple that you can make them at home better yourself for a fraction of the cost. The cost of rent and real estate probably means businesses have to charge so much more. We pay unskilled students $60 or more an hour. They should be getting standard wages until they work over 40 hours a week. Then there is the deception in pricing. The price on the menu says one price, and when you go to pay, suddenly you find that there's a 20% surcharge plus a 2% for paying by card, even though it cuts costs for businesses by reducing employee theft and having to go out to the bank with cash. On top of this, you get promoted to pay a tip to staff who are unfriendly and stuff up your order, who are getting paid 3 times what you get paid yourself due to penalty rates. A few weeks ago, I paid $48 for a very ordinary egg and bacon roll, a juice and a coffee, almost $50 for an ordinary breakfast. And this is why we stopped eating out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in there that isn't wrong, but also will vary enormously depending on where you go. Individual results will vary.
Yeah.
I just spent a fortune. So I decided to treat the family to some Thai food just this week. And I'm going to tell you the price, but I'm embarrassed to because this is not like if I'd have known in advance, there is no way. And it ended up feeding a bunch of adults for 2 dinners, and it actually was enough for 2 nights. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But it was $192.
Yeah, okay.
For Thai.
Yeah.
Now, for what ended up being 12 adult sized meals, right? Because it went over 2 nights. So you amortize that out, and actually per meal, that's not completely outrageous. But the sticker shock was pretty unpleasant when I then went to actually pay for it. And it's not something I would normally spend on eating out in a week, let alone a month, let alone on a single. Anyway, not pleasant. But I looked at it and went, okay, there's a 10% surcharge for Sundays, which I'm not going to begrudge them because the penalty rates on Sundays are
the business has passed on
horrific.
the cost. Yeah.
Now, in the case of this particular restaurant, all the people behind the in the kitchen, it was sort of open-ended kitchen, you could see into it, looked very authentically Thai. The food was fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, so good. Now, we ended up taking it away because we wanted to eat it at home with the people that we had with us. But walking past the tables, the service seemed good. They were all eating off proper cutlery and all the rest of it. I mean, they've kind of given away a little bit of, they're replacing everything with wooden cutlery and paper plates. Where are you going?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're taking away, sure, that's what's happened for sure. But who's dining in on that? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, can't say I've seen that at a dine-in.
So individual results will vary, but also we're pointing our fingers at each other for what is actually the consequence of our currency being debased.
Yes.
Our currency, our dollars are losing their value. If one thing goes up, it's the thing going up. If everything goes up, it's your dollars going down. Everything's going up. So it's not the fault of all the people putting up the prices.
Yeah.
It's what's happening to our dollar.
Yeah.
And that's not the fault of each other. That is very much the fault of our government and the debt they've taken on.
So when I was at uni, I did a lot of hospitality employee, and I was employed in the hospitality sector.
Right.
As I said, I started my job at Macca's.
Yep.
I remember getting paid $8.16 or something. And then when you're 18, it goes up a bit. So that's why Macca's is full of like 14 and 15-year-olds.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think it's changed a little bit, but I loved my job. I've said that before.
Yeah.
And then at uni, I started doing some cafe stuff, and then I worked in a really nice hotel, and I had a great time doing that. It was hard work, but there was an onus on us to firstly know the menu, to be able to carry everything without spilling it. And, I feel like if you're someone that's somewhat shy and introverted, it's a great job because it teaches you how to, you're not going to change your personality, but you can put it on.
Yeah, correct. You can turn it on when you have to.
Yes, and it's really great at building self-esteem. And I was someone who was very, very shy.
Right.
And so that was a great way for me to be able to sort of build rapport with people. And I think that's actually helped me become a good photographer.
Yeah,
it's all leads into it.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I'm someone that used to love going out for brekkie, and I used to go out for brekkie maybe 2-3 times a week, particularly when I was single, because you just go out and hang out. And I could probably count on my hands the amount of time I've been out for breakfast this year because I eat the same thing. I'm very boring. I love my sourdough with avocado, 2 poached eggs, sometimes some halloumi. Now, depending where I go, that could cost me $25 or $45. Add to that an orange juice, which I love.
Yep.
That's like $12. And then dare have a coffee, that's $7. So all of a sudden, my breakfast is almost $55.
Yeah, it's cheaper to start your day with a good snort of cocaine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's genuinely, it's price parity has
And
been
you probably
reached.
get more of a kick from it.
You get more energy out of it. I taught myself how to poach my own eggs because I got sick and
That's
tired
wizard stuff. We've had this conversation.
But I got sick and tired of paying the absolutely ridiculous prices.
Can you imagine? Because you have 6 eggs, right?
Oh, not always. I've cut it back to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if you went out and asked for 6 eggs on a plate.
There's $30 right there.
Yeah.
Just for the eggs.
Yeah.
So no, I poached my own eggs. I forgot to put the vinegar in the water the other day. Just absent-minded, forgot.
Scrambled.
Well, all the white of the egg just kind of goes off in all different directions and it doesn't hold together properly. Anyway, there is an art to it, and if you stuff the art up, you're having bad eggs.
I've told you, I've tried. I can cook a lot of things, but rice from scratch on the stove cannot do.
Really?
Yeah, I burn it.
Yeah, okay.
And poached eggs. They are the 2 things I cannot conquer.
I can teach anyone poached eggs. I have it down and I understand exactly what I'm doing.
All right, then guess what we're doing after this?
All right, I can teach you poached eggs. But I did that in part because I like a good breakfast. I like to start my day well.
Yeah.
And the prices are completely unreasonable. So now, normally I just do 4 eggs, bit of salt. That's it. That's what I have. But if I really want to turn it on, I'll get a bagel or some sourdough. I'll get some salmon. I will poach my eggs and I'll warm up some hollandaise sauce. I've made hollandaise from scratch before. It didn't quite work out, but Stu, if you're watching, saved me. He was visiting. That's why I was doing all the special stuff. He saved me and we ended up with a really good homemade hollandaise. And then I've got this sort of Aussie salt and pepper. It's actually pepper bush and sea salt, like dried pepper bush leaves and so forth. Beautiful. And you lay it all out and you put it in front of someone, a guest or whatever, and it is cafe quality. It's every bit as good as you would pay $35 for in a cafe. And I make it at home and I can have that anytime I want. And honestly, the desire to go out is basically gone.
Yeah. Well, that's what we've been doing. And I don't think there was never a conversation where G and I were like, oh, we're not going out anymore. We just sort of stopped. Tonight's our anniversary. So we're going, thank you. We're going out for dinner. So sorry, guys, I won't be live in the comments today. I apologize. But I will read your comments tomorrow, as you know. But yeah, so we were like, oh, where do we want to go? And we kind of toyed with like, should we go somewhere nice and fancy? Yeah. And then we were thinking about it. I was like, I don't want to go somewhere and spend $300-400 on a meal. Yeah. Like we're going to Meat and Wine Co. and we went there for our second date and we had a great time. And I was like, well, just go back there. It was really nice. Yep. It's nice enough. It's not too fancy. Yep. But I've been to, like, when I've been having to schmooze clients, when I've been with people, whatever, I get taken to things, I've been pulled into a lot of those sort of, you know, wanky restaurants. Yeah. And I'll never forget this one place I went to in Northcote and everyone's like, oh my God, it's just open. It's so exciting. It's like, we got a table. And I was so angry because firstly, it's so loud. I can't have a conversation. Yeah. And I'm extroverted, but sensory wise, I can't stand that if it's too loud and I have to scream at you when you're just there. 90 minutes setting. So you're under sit time down, pressure. Eat and fuck off. Yeah. And then the bill was no split bill and everything was quite expensive. But it was a degustation menu and we actually got 90 minutes for a degustation menu, which is insane. Yeah. And same thing, loud and whatever. Anyway, one of the meals that came out, I kid you not, it was like a swoosh of some kind of sauce and one sprig of asparagus and a piece of halloumi over the top. That was the meal. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Again, I've got to be the bad guy. If it's a degustation, that makes sense. But how many courses were in the degustation? I
think it was 6. Okay. What I'm saying is, I've had degustation. Yeah. I've had it at Heston's. I've had it at Vue de Monde. Yep. You roll out of there and you're like, I need a wheelchair. I'm so full. I went to this place who's obviously trying to be something. Trying to be that. It was mediocre, is my point. Yeah. And like, if that was the best asparagus I've ever eaten in my life, then sure, I'll stand corrected.
And hey, roasted asparagus with the right amount of salt on top can be amazing.
Yeah. But my point was, we were in Northcote, so wanky, bloody hipster culture.
Yeah. It's funny that you think of it that way because I grew up in Preston and I remember Northcote from the 90s.
Northcote now is like I actually saw a comment. I think it was Time Out magazine put up this is one of the most popular streets in the world or the best streets in the world. And I was like, High Street in Northcote? Yeah, no. Or was it High Street? Or whatever, the main street. I was like, dude, no. Yeah. But yeah, my point is I hate being disappointed. So I tend not to be... I'm risk adverse when it comes to culinary experiences because I don't like wasting my money.
I'm looking up a place right now. I'm not ignoring you. I'm trying to find it. I want to get the name right because it was absolutely fantastic. My wife and I went there for our 9th wedding anniversary and I really recommend it. It was so good. I'm pretty sure this is it. Attica. ATTICA.
Oh, yes. Attica's great. Yeah. Attica's really good.
We went there. We had the degustation and... There's an experience. I'm not going to describe it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But there's kind of an experience where you go out the back to another area, and it's not seedy. Don't worry, it's not what you're thinking. Really highly recommend. That would be one place. Very expensive. Yeah. But I actually walked out of there.
But it was a special meal.
I got what I paid for. Like I really got the experience and the quality of food, the service, the playfulness. Yeah. Everything was top notch.
That's how I felt when I went to Heston's. Right. That was insane. Yeah. Like Heston's, it's food, but there's a sciencey thing to it, and it's a spectacle. Yeah. And like I was entertained.
Well, that's kind of what he's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. I was entertained. I was fed. I was wowed. So you weren't just paying for the food itself. I can't remember what was it per head. I think it was like $350. It was a lot.
A lot of money. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it was 10 courses. This is a while ago. This is when he was at Crown. Yeah. And it was he bought the fat duck here basically. But yeah, like I got experience, entertainment, ambience, great night.
And that's the kind of thing that you do for those special occasions.
And that's what I'm saying.
To make them memorable.
Like I am not a wealthy person, so I'm not expecting to go to these places every Friday night. Yeah, no. They're like a milestone kind of deal. And I'm so okay with that. But what I thought was interesting in this conversation, we've talked about the hospitality sector, but just overall, like a big part of what I'm focusing on at the moment is hyperconsumption. And I think back, I guess you're always thinking back to your upbringing, but we used to have the Friday night takeaway. Mum and Dad couldn't be bothered. We go get Mystic Pizza. Sometimes it was Macca's. Sometimes it was Thai. And Thai was always the more expensive option, but it was, $40, $50.
Yeah, for the whole family.
Yeah. G and I had Thai maybe 3 weeks ago, and it was $90 for the two of us, and we didn't get much. And I was sort of like, that's a lot.
That hurts, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you just adjust your behaviour accordingly.
Yeah.
But
and I don't begrudge the local Thai restaurant up where I am for charging what they charge.
Well, the businesses are going to business. I don't think it's exploitation. I think for most businesses, there's, like I said, the market always sorts you out. So it's no different to any other service. If you're going to price yourself, there is a point where people will stop coming to you.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can, if you're a great, good service, good product, whatever, you can put your prices up a little bit. And if you've got such a high demand, then you increase your prices to whatever. But then there comes a point where people go, oh, no, that's too much now.
Well, there are 2 other Thai restaurants local to us that we could have gone to, but the one that we went to was highly recommended, rave reviews from other people whose opinion we put a bit of faith in. Yeah. And so you go, okay, well, I'll go and spend the extra money purely on the raving of some other person. So there's value that isn't tangible.
Yeah.
It's the intangible value of the idea of, oh, this place is really good. Now, it turns out it was really good.
Yeah.
And so we'll go back there in the future and pay the extra money, but we will only go occasionally.
Yeah.
Because of what the price is.
Yeah. You would have a take on this, so I'm interested to get your perspective. But something I'm looking at in my master's is about hyperconsumption when it comes to beauty products.
Right.
And how...
I've never consumed one in my life.
We can tell, don't we? We know.
Yeah.
No. So this is talking about how businesses are now targeting a very young section of the market. So think your tweens, that early pubescent who does not need skincare.
Yeah.
But they want to go, not only do they want skincare, they want the bougie brand that comes in all the colourful packaging.
Yeah.
That's $70 for a bottle.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. So Mecca is a self-made Aussie success story.
Sure.
She started out with a store, I believe, on Turak Road, and she's now built it out to $1 billion business. And they're about to open, the old David Jones men's store?
Yeah.
That's now Mecca. It's
Wow.
3 levels. 3 levels of Mecca.
That's a Mecca of cosmetics.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's pretty insane. And it was on the news just last week. I think it opens shortly. But we are now at a point in our culture where a beauty store can have a 3-level major department store for it.
Do you think it will last, or are they overreaching?
I think it will last for maybe a couple of years. I think with a lot of this stuff, it is trend.
Yeah.
It's trend driven. But what I find really interesting is, like, I think it's a bit of a lost leader for Mecca. I don't think it's going to make money.
It positions the whole brand globally.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a money generator.
Yeah.
But in it, they've got beauty salons, hairdressers, so you can go in there for those little appointments before you go out.
I'm sure there'll be a cafe in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah, all that sort of stuff. But the thing is, Mecca, I'm not in Mecca. I'm sure they've done their market research. People aren't going into the CBD much these days. I can't tell you anything less I would like to do than go into the city to get my hair done before I go somewhere. If I happen to already be there, chances are I've already done my hair.
If you're going to an event at like Cram Palladium or something, would you at that point?
No, it's a department store. I'd rather do that in my house.
Yeah, okay.
It would probably be more efficient and cheaper overall to get a hairdresser to come to my house or a hair and makeup artist to come to your house.
Well, what you're saying is that it's outside.
It is
outside of your cost of living, but they're gambling that it's inside somebody else's.
Well, look, it might be, and I don't begrudge them. I think it's great, but I find it really interesting that we're now in an era where beauty and, like, for example, cosmetic surgery used to be preserved for Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood,
and very wealthy people.
crash victims. Yeah,
right. But now, young girls as young as 17 and 18 are worried about Botox.
Yeah.
They're getting lip injections. They're getting breast implants.
Yeah.
And I don't really focus on the men, but I dare say there's a level of vanity for men.
I promise you I haven't had implants.
No. you grew those on yourself?
I look like, I don't blame you for thinking.
So uncomfortable. No, like there's definitely a trend of men getting Botox and stuff now too, but I can only speak to the stuff that I've looked at. But now annually, women are spending almost 15% of their annual income on these things. Some more,
nuts, yeah.
But that's the average.
Yeah, wow.
So isn't that crazy? And so there's, and obviously I'm reading a lot of stuff that has like left-leaning thoughts in it.
Yeah.
Part of this is blamed on capitalism. And I'd say it's not capitalism. This is, what would you describe it as? Because this has gone beyond that.
I would describe it as conclusive proof that men are smarter than women because we don't spend that kind of money on cosmetics.
Do you know what annoys me about men?
Everything.
No, I love men. I get along with men more than women. You could probably see why. I call this the shower test, right?
Yeah.
So if you go into a shower of a single girl, like
Right.
she lives alone or she lives with another woman, you go into the shower, it's a cosmetic store in there.
There is not enough shelf space. I don't care. You could build the entire bathroom out of shelves and there will still not be enough
Correct.
shelf space for a woman.
For a woman, you've got 6 different sets of shampoo, 4 different shower gels, face cream, whatever. It's all in the shower.
Yeah.
You go to the guy you just start dating house and he has 1 mega tub of shower gel that's for like head, butt, and sack, like the whole thing, right? Like it's the 1 shower gel.
That's overkill. That's. I mean, if I walked into that guy's bathroom, I'd be like, gay. You
Really?
shouldn't be- Yeah, no.
Do you just not
Bar
use
of
soap?
soap.
Oh,
Bar of soap.
yucky.
And one of those metal scourers that you use on pots.
Oh,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Look, it goes rusty over time, but that just helps it to sort of get a bit deeper into the skin.
But that's what I find funny. And I remember seeing that with G. I had like in my old apartment, there was like a shelf and had all my things there. And then I went to G's house and in his shower was just this 1 finger shower. That's it.
No. So there's a hilarious genre that went around. I think it's kind of the wave is past now, but a genre of videos went around Instagram and TikTok and so forth. And it was women filming a complaint about that. Oh, why can't he just put things away after himself? And it's the kitchen, the bathroom sink, and there's a toothbrush. It's like, grab the toothbrush, shove it in the hole, and then as they turn around, it's like there's all of their stuff. Just obviously, it's done deliberately. It's comedy. They know what they're doing. But it's this very, very funny contrast because there was a time that she's stopped now, but there was a time when my darling wife would keep putting my 2 or 3 objects into the top drawer of the bathroom. It's like, no, get this out of the way. But her stuff, it's pretty neat. She's not as bad as many, but she's got a lot of stuff on that countertop. But no, my stuff had to go back in the drawer. Yeah. And I noticed recently, I hadn't said anything, I noticed recently she stopped. My little hair product thing that I do use stays on the top now.
Yeah. I find it really interesting because, obviously when I'm looking at this stuff, I then question my own behavior and go, oh, yeah, maybe I'm doing this as well. Now, I've talked about Beck Judd on the podcast. She's now started her own podcast and it's called Vanish. And this is no shade at all to anyone, but if you were to say on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put yourself in regards to your vanity?
My physical appearance vanity, probably a 4.
Yeah. And what would you say for? Like, you're not particularly focused, you don't care enough, or
I
indifferent?
People can judge me for how I look.
Yeah, you're relatively indifferent.
Yeah, I've lived all my life with people criticizing my teeth, criticizing my weight. It used to be because I was too skinny, then because I was too fat. Criticizing my acne scarring. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I would put myself as a 6.
Okay.
Because I'm not particularly worried about other people's perceptions, but I have in the past, I've had facial reconstruction surgery, I've had veneers. Yeah. But I'm not someone that would book in her weekly or annually appointments. Couldn't care less. I'm more of a, oh shit, I should do that.
I should do that sometime.
I'll call up.
Yeah.
I'm not someone that worries about getting facials and stuff. And then out of interest, because it ties into what I'm doing, I listened to Beck's podcast and they were talking about things that are just so outside, like I didn't even know these existed. Yeah. And I was like, and that's not shade. It's just more so a commentary around 20 years ago, a lot of this stuff didn't even exist. Yeah. So when we talk about cost of living, I think there's a conversation there that we're avoiding, which is this expansion of the things that we spend money on.
Yeah, how we define living has changed.
So back, 20 years ago, we would have been early 2000s.
Sure.
I was sort of at uni or just out of uni, and my expenses were obviously going out, having some drinks and stuff, but we'd always have pre-drinks at my house.
Yep.
Maybe occasionally going out for brekkie or dinner at the pub because I lived in Warrnambool at the time. I bought, my biggest expense was magazines. I used to spend $20-$30 a week on magazines for art, graphics, fashion. And then clothes were relatively inexpensive. I wasn't ever thinking about, I've got to go buy designer or whatever. It was, I went to the stores that I could afford. Whereas fast forward to now, women, and I think social media brought this up, women are exposed to brands and things that they would never have been able to afford, but now such and such is wearing it. So they'll save up their money to go buy this thing. And you know, you've seen these haul videos, and also I told you last week about the wardrobe organizer.
Yes.
That was unheard of before. But now the average person has that.
Yeah.
And now there's this new genre of videos on Instagram, which are like moving videos, like people having to move house.
Right.
And so, you know, like I don't know why, I've just seen a lot of these recently where they're packing up all that stuff, and it starts with like you're all delicate with the first box, and by the end you're just shoving everything in.
Things in. Yeah.
And like these are people who are moving from 2-bedroom apartments to a 2-bedroom apartment, and the amount of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, gosh, like.
So here's a tip for younger people that are still in that phase where they're going out drinking and so forth. If you really want to save money on a night out, when you're doing your pre-drinks, spike yourself. You will save so much money.
What do you mean? Just like double pour?
No, spike your own drink.
Oh.
Yeah, so save, instead of using the retinol on other people, use it on yourself. You will
So you
save.
pass out
You will
somewhere?
save so much money. It's just, you know.
Do you want to hear a funny story about alcohol smuggling?
Oh dear, yes, I do.
So I had a very brief drinking career.
Oh,
it
yes.
lasted maybe 2 years. And as you guys know, I don't drink anymore. But I went to Pyramid Rock Festival, one of those 3-day camp there on site festivals.
I can think of very few things worse.
It was my first and my last.
Yes. Yeah.
I am not a people person.
Yeah.
I don't like being around lots of people.
Not a good place to be if you need personal space.
No. And so it was my first thing, and it was either that or falls, and we ended up going to Pyramid. Anyway, so of course you're not allowed to take your own booze in. So we're like, all right, how can we be savvy about alcohol?
There are some good ones. There are some people that are so clever.
So we came up with all sorts of ideas because, you know, they go through the car, whatever.
Yeah.
So I had this bright idea to use shampoo bottles.
Yep.
Right? And so I gave them a good rinse and did all that. And then we put vodka into a watermelon.
Yeah.
You know,
Alcohol in bottles that wasn't designed for something that can dissolve plastic. Yeah.
I see where I'm going. So anyway, we get into there and we're ready to start pulling out our drinks, and we're excited. And I grab my shampoo bottle vodka, pour it in, and then the bubbles should have been enough of a giveaway. But pour in the mixer and drink it, and it's the most rancid taste ever.
Yes.
It tastes like shampoo and plastic.
Yes. Yes. You were literally drinking liquefied plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a bit of shampoo.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah. What is it? Watermelon flavored plastic.
Yeah.
That was your vodka.
No,
infusion.
the vodka in the watermelon was delicious.
Okay.
It was the vodka that came out of the shampoo bottle that we put with Coke or whatever we put it with.
Yeah.
I still drank it.
So the best one that I ever came across, because it's just completely undetectable, is a guy figured out. So there was a generation of double skinned water bottles that didn't have the vacuum in between the two skins. It was just an air gap in between the two skins, and you could open it up.
Yeah.
I don't know why they designed it that way, but you could. And so this guy would just go in and fill all that gap up with vodka, all the way to the top, no bubbles, so it wouldn't. You know, you couldn't. You just it just felt like a heavy water bottle. And he got stuff into all. I mean, I wondered why he didn't use it for just pills and stuff. He'd make a lot more money.
Yeah.
Make a lot more money. But as far as I know, just used it for alcohol.
Yeah, there you go. Just the creative things that you do in your youth.
That's right.
But
that's right.
How do we get there?
I have no idea. But that's some advice for you drug smugglers out there. Just give that a go and let us know how you go.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've done that topic, but we've got some more to get to.
All right, let's go fast.
We didn't talk about tangents, but that I think all of that was a tangent.
Tangent time.
You gotta sing at least one.
Time.
All right, we've done small business in decline. All right, so we've got Brad Pitt, the PR battle, or Spanish energy giant pulls out of Victoria.
All right, let's do the energy stuff real quick.
I know nothing about this. So.
Okay, all the wheels are falling off. The last 2 years I've been covering the death of net zero. It's a slow motion train wreck, but it is very much a train wreck. All the big projects are being abandoned. All the existing projects are being scaled back. All the feed-in tariffs for solar are being scaled back. The only new thing really is this battery program that the government has rolled out where they're throwing money at batteries, and that is essentially trying to wallpaper over the huge problem they've created by having so much rooftop solar. They're trying to fix that problem now by throwing more money at it. And to be honest, as much as I hate to say this, it is kind of the right solution. They just shouldn't be spending taxpayers' money on it. But anyway, all the big grid scale projects that are offshore, so mostly your wind farms, they're all being walked away from. They're all being abandoned. All of the what's it called? The hydrogen plants, all the green energy, green hydrogen plants have all shut down now. There was one in South Australia that was attached to a steel mill there, which kind of made sense for certain reasons. That one shut down 2 months ago, I'm going to say. The last one shut down just the other day. And now Chris Bowen has announced another $400 million is going to get thrown at yet another experiment at that, which was a surprise. I actually, I thought he'd learned that lesson, but unfortunately he hasn't. But the writing is on the wall. Everywhere you look, all this green net zero stuff, there's no more geothermal. That was going to save us. There's no more tidal. That was going to save us. Wind power, gone. The marine environment is just too harsh. It destroys things too fast. Geothermal, sending those pipes down into the water, deep into the earth and picking up the energy from there, blah, blah, blah.
That only makes sense in places like Iceland, where it's so close to the surface.
Well, it can make sense elsewhere. I believe there is a micro plant still operating in Australia that's powering a very, very remote town that happened to be in the right geographic location where they could do it. But any and every attempt so far to scale that up in a meaningful sense in Australia has failed, and they're all closed down now. The wheels are falling off, and as the government is having to wind back a lot of the subsidies and so forth, the spending is having to be rationalised because it's creating problems. They subsidised all the rooftop solar panels that are now destabilising the grid. Now they're subsidising the batteries to try and bring the stability back because that's their knee-jerk reaction: spend more money. A lot of these projects and a lot of this whole kind of project has fallen off. But there is one remaining subsidy that hides in plain sight because it's not a subsidy. And for as long as this one exists, unfortunately, we're going to continue to have to battle this thing. The way the Australian Energy Market Operator's bid stack system works is really, really perverse. Imagine a deck of cards, and that each card in that deck is a certain amount of energy. All right, you got 50 of them. There's 50,000 megawatt hours, or whatever it is over a period of time. Whatever, it doesn't matter what the unit is. Each card represents energy. Now, the demand is whatever it is. The demand is 50 cards worth. And so the energy market operator says, okay, who can supply me with power? And a coal operated plant over here and a solar plant over there and a wind plant over there and a gas plant over here will all bid and say, well, I'll give you this much power at this price. I'll give you that much power at that price, blah, blah, blah. And what the operator does is it takes the lowest 50 bids. So it meets the demand. It buys as much energy as it has to meet the demand. But what it does, and there's good reasons why they do this. This isn't this off the top. If you've never heard of this before, you're going to be like, what? That makes no sense. But it actually does. They pay all 50 at the price of the most expensive of the 50. Okay? So they all get whatever the 50th lowest price was, that's the price they all get paid. And so obviously if you're pumping cheap power into the system, you're getting paid pretty well. Your margins are pretty good. But what happens is there are moments in time where if you could take out some of the supply, if you could take out the bottom 10 cards and force the market operator to buy the next 10 cards, that one of those cards is going to be super expensive. And now everyone's going to get paid according to that super expensive value. Now, what's happened with battery backup is that there is an incentive now for the large generators which own a portfolio. They've got a coal plant here, a gas plant there, a wind turbine, a wind farm, a solar farm, and some battery backup here, and blah, blah, blah. They have an incentive to destabilize the system to the point that the market operator needs to buy some battery backup because that's the most expensive. And the minute they're buying any teeny tiny amount of battery backup to stabilize the system, everyone's hit the jackpot. Every single person putting power into the system is getting paid stupid amounts of money. It's not a subsidy on paper. You could search all of the treasury numbers and you're not going to find a subsidy that's happening. But this is a market manipulation that I'm convinced is going on. I think it's hiding in plain sight. I think it's right there in the numbers, but I'm working on being able to put together a watertight case to be able to cover this. And for as long as that manipulation of the bid stack system continues to exist, then it will continue to be viable to run these incredibly expensive green energy projects. We have to deal with that. Once we kill that, net zero will be dead in Australia within a year.
Do you think there's also coming a point where the messaging just cannot get in front of this stuff enough. Like, for example, we've joked about Australia's warmest, driest winter, and it's been very cold. And every week there's a new story on 9 or whatever.
Negative 7.1 degrees was the feels like temperature in southern Queensland yesterday morning.
Yeah, oh, poor buggers. They might have to put a jumper on for the first time. Queenslanders.
Well, negative 7. That's more than jumper territory.
Yeah.
And I put up a thing about that just this morning on Facebook saying, it's a good thing it's an unusually warm summer. Can you imagine how cold it would be if it had been a cold summer?
Yeah.
Cold winter, I mean.
Yeah. But like, is it getting to a point when it comes to all this net zero green energy where they've tried so hard with the messaging and they led with it for a while, which was able to sort of placate the masses.
Yeah.
But now people, like, there's only so much gaslighting you can get away with where people go, hang on a minute, this isn't making sense.
Everyone that's going to believe in it already believes in it.
Yeah.
There's only one way from here. They're not winning any new people.
No.
I
think they're turning people away now.
They are turning people away. Now, what we've seen politically recently for the first time is the Nationals really actually took a stand on this when it came to the coalition. And the coalition is still officially off. I don't think they've reunited yet. Now, that's not that unusual. But the reason why the Nationals are playing hardball is because even though David Littleproud survived a leadership spill and he's not he's unfortunately a supporter of all the net zero stuff, there is such a large faction within the Nationals now that doesn't support it, that he can't go and reunite with the Liberal Party while that's the official policy.
Yeah, okay.
So we're seeing for the first time that the abandoned net zero brigade are beginning to get political traction, not to the point that we're going to see a change in the heart of our Prime Minister as yet.
Yeah.
But it is a substantial change that's happening inside our third biggest political party, the Nationals. So my hope is that will expand and will continue, because it will give people something to vote for. If the Liberal Party actually got dragged by the Nationals to the point where they would actually stand up against this nonsense, it would energise their base. It would actually energise voters to have something to vote for a change.
Yeah, but I think, I know we're talking about it and people in our realm are talking about it, but how we were promised that if we did this and did this and did this, everything would get cheaper. Everything's only gotten more. And to the point where it's like, okay, you're telling me that this is going to bring energy prices down and that Albanese is going to help. Yeah. Then why am I just about to pay an $800 electricity bill?
It's like you read my Facebook and my social media or something, Carly. I post, it'll take me a minute to scroll because I post a lot of crap. Gosh, man, can this guy talk? It is, gosh, still not. I posted it like 3 days ago. Come on, I've got to be close now. There it is. Found it. It was 6 days ago. All right. We bought the energy saver light bulbs. We bought the energy efficient appliances. We got our smart meters. We've covered our hillsides in solar panels. We've covered our hilltops in wind turbines. We did all of the things that were going to make energy cheaper, but my bill is the highest it's ever been. Mm-hmm. Now, more and more people are waking up to that reality.
That's what I mean about the gaslighting. Yeah. And I'm seeing this, again, it's just things that I'm picking up out of my observation. I saw there's a guy in Queensland I follow, what's his name? Troy Candy. And he lives in Queensland. And he was talking about his $4,000 electricity bill. Now he lives in a mansion. So obviously, he would have a big bill. But he talks about how he had solar. And the solar was turned off. And his sentiment was, my bill's so high because the solar was off. And I was like, yeah, but also, like, $4,000 for electricity, mate, is not normal.
But also, there's a lot of people got angry at me. I did a video about how EVs are very, very expensive, and people got angry at me. And there were two categories of people that got angry at me.
Are you talking about the audience?
Fine. Fine, you got me.
You always attack me for it. Yeah, continue.
And they don't understand that rooftop solar is not free energy, it's prepaid energy.
Yeah.
Right? One of the big problems with how people think when it comes to economics is not understanding the difference between the full cost, the life cycle cost, and the marginal cost. And this is a really important distinction. If you want to build a bathroom, right, add a bathroom onto your home, it's going to cost you a chunk of money. You've got to build the bathroom, the roof, the foundations, put in the plumbing, put in all the decor, the tiles, the commode, blah, blah, blah. The cost of a bathroom is very high. But for one additional person to use that bathroom, the marginal cost of one additional use of an existing bathroom is essentially zero.
Yeah.
It's not quite zero, but it's very, very freaking close to zero. So the marginal cost is zero, But that doesn't make the bathroom free.
No.
It doesn't mean you can build one and it doesn't cost you anything. And this is what people don't understand. Lovers of renewable energy love to talk about the marginal cost. Oh, the marginal cost of rooftop solar is zero. Like if the cloud moves out of the way of the sun, it produces more energy. You didn't pay anything for that extra energy compared to if the sun was behind a cloud. And that's true. But that doesn't mean that the rooftop solar installed itself and manufactured itself and did all of that stuff for free.
And they have a short lifespan too.
They do. And so the levelized cost of energy, which is how economists try and actually figure out what's the real cost here when you factor in the entire life cycle. On charitable assumptions, the levelized cost of energy from domestic rooftop solar is somewhere around about 12 cents per kilowatt hour, which is actually still pretty good, right? That's not bad. I'm not saying it's a ridiculously expensive form of energy, but it ain't free.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are trying to sit there and say, well, I get my energy for free. No, you do not. Even if you're renting, no, you do not. The value of that thing is being recouped through your rent.
We talked about that when Abby Chatfield famously said that I have solar, I don't pay anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, must be nice.
Which, I mean, that's the other thing as well. Is I have the ability to prepay 10 years worth of electricity up front in the form of the capital cost of installing that. Right? Oh, well, good for you. That's not something that you should be particularly bragging about to people that are saying, I can't afford rent this month.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Moving on to our next topic. We briefly talked about this. This would have been perfect at the end of our last segment, but...
So frustrating.
I just want to say the obvious thing. Doesn't most things cause cancer at this point? Like,
Everything causes cancer.
Like, I don't feel like we need to be told it.
Yeah.
I'll take my chances.
Alcohol is also one of the leading causes of babies. Do we need to put that warning on there as well?
I was like...
Right? Being born is one of the leading causes of death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how far are we going to go?
Oxygen actually kills you. Oxygen is the reason that our bodies break down.
And that's why we're all trying to drink and eat antioxidants.
Yeah.
You know, it's, at some point, like, honestly, we have to go the other way, remove all the warning labels.
I have been saying this for years.
You know, have you seen those websites where they get the funny, like the Chinglish, the badly translated warning labels and stuff? You know, on a packet of knives, keep out of children.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Mm-hmm.
My take on this is, like, everything at some point in excess can kill you.
Yeah.
Drugs, alcohol, fast food,
Yep.
driving fast in a car. People at the end of the day have free will. Let them exercise it as they will.
Driving fast in a car has never killed anyone. Stopping extremely quickly in an unscheduled manner is what kills
Fair.
you. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to be like, meh. Sure.
But no, this is the thing. And it's not the government's job to keep us safe.
Well, and this is the thing. If it just saves a couple of lives, like,
No.
I'm sorry, like, if you are going to go there and drink excessive amounts of alcohol and then end up with either alcohol poisoning or alcoholism or cancer, well, guess what? You made that decision.
Yep.
Fuck around, find out, I say.
Every life has value, but some of their value is in the form of cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Right? For the rest of us to look at and go, don't do that.
Robs, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like the whole touching a boiling pot kind of thing. Like, you only need to do that once to go,
Yep.
that wasn't a good idea.
Yep.
I'm not going to do that again. That hurt.
One, it's not the government's job to keep us safe. Number two, the arrogance of thinking that this is an education problem. Oh, if we put the warning, people don't know.
It's
People
insulting.
don't know the danger of alcohol.
Insulting. This is no different to the white liberals, like, explaining to minorities how they've been oppressed. I put this in the same category.
Now, take the warning labels off, and honestly, anyone that actually suggests this should instantly put you on a ban list from any publicly funded jobs and from any public grant money or anything like that. Anyone that has that mentality, these, the advocates for packaging like that, the advocates for, there's that guy, what's his name, Harold Scrooby, whatever his name is, who's always banging on about pedestrians' rights. And like, anyone who wants to live their life like that, just do it on your own dime. You can't have a government-funded job, you can't have a taxpayer-funded job, and you are no longer eligible for any grants. If the Cancer Council wants to come out and advocate for this, great. No more grants for you. Like, you can do it, but do it on private money.
I'm just reading this part of the article. It says, the evidence is clear. Health labelling on alcoholic drinks is urgently needed in the UK to help save lives.
Yeah.
The WCRF wrote in a letter to Keir Starmer. They should carry strong, clear messages about the health risks, which include the risk of cancer far beyond vague advice like consume in moderation. And buoyed by the move, the Cancer Council of Australia is ramping up its efforts to convince the Albanese government of merits of such labelling.
Now, instantly cut all funding.
Yeah. The thing is, we've done this with cigarettes and people still smoke.
Correct. Because it's not an education issue.
Take cancer out of the equation. People know that excessive alcohol consumption is not good for your health. We know this. It's exhibited in movies, in literature, anecdotally.
Yep.
We know this.
And you know why people still drink it despite the health risks? Because if you drink enough of it, you can no longer hear the idiots like that. They get drowned out in the haze of alcohol-induced stupor, and we prefer that to the sound of whingers like this carrying on.
I went through a phase in my 20s, and I think that's when we're at the peak of our arrogance, where you feel like you know everything.
Oh, I still feel like I've got a PB left in me.
You are still arrogant.
I've got a personal best left in me. I'm going to get there.
I think, this is where my libertarian side comes out. I went through this phase of, hyper fixated on my health and fitness. I was super fit, super healthy, but I was actually a little bit miserable.
Yeah, you do make bad choices when you're young. It's true.
Yeah. Well, no, I was miserable in the sense that I was consumed by it. Looking at the back of every single label, having to go to 17 different shops to get all the ingredients I need because you can't get it at the supermarket. It's changed a little bit now. A lot of things you can get at the supermarket. But then I would do the old, hey, did you know? Just letting you know. To the point where I was like, I was probably quite insufferable at a point there. A bit like vegans telling you not to eat. Yeah, just
zipping my lip.
Yeah. Shut up.
Zipping it up.
Do not say a word. And then one day I turned around and, I think what happened was someone started saying to me about veganism. This was when veganism started to take off. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't eat meat. I was like, who the fuck are you to tell me what to do?
Yeah.
You don't have to eat meat.
Yeah, but I mean, CrossFit was vegans for gym goers. I mean, that was,
It was. I can take the piss out of myself now.
Yeah.
But now I'm at the point, for example, I've said this 100 times. I don't drink alcohol. I don't give a fuck that other people do.
Sure.
Could not care less. But the people who do drink think I'm judging them. I'm like, mate, I don't care. You're not even a thought.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, do you care if I do?
Yeah.
No.
Well, so some of those people asking that, though, will be doing that out of courtesy because there are people who've had a drinking problem and they've stopped.
Yeah.
And so I will, I'm not drinking at the moment, but that's not forever. That's just a decision that I've made. I'm like, okay, for a while, at some point I'll start drinking again. But I've become much more aware of if someone says I'm not drinking, I do quickly check in with them and just be like, hey, is it a problem? Because if it's a problem for you, then that's fine. I won't either.
As a woman, the first thing people go is, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. They don't even say the words. They're like, oh. Nah, mate. No.
Not happening.
Yeah. But alcohol's one of those things because I don't drink, I'm not quite sure what an acceptable amount is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My dad always had a glass of red with dinner.
All of it.
Yeah.
If there's any left, drink that too.
All that. Yeah. Well, I look at it from it makes you feel like shit. It's expensive and maybe you should not drink too much because it's not good for your overall health. But
boy, can you dance.
See, you know what? Maybe this is probably why I don't drink. I don't think alcohol has that impact on me. Oh. Yeah, it makes me a bit sleepy, a bit tired.
Yeah.
I'm already extroverted.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like
you don't need help to get on the dance floor?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I'd get on the dance floor totally sober.
Coming back to this, though, this sort of busybody, this is in the same category as the people that want to get the road toll down to zero, people that want to get rid of, we should have a ban on junk food advertising.
What about the children?
What about the children? All that sort of stuff. And the fallacy, and it does actually tie in directly with what you're saying before about how you were once, much more obsessed about, what you eat and getting the exercise and blah, blah, blah. It says the purpose of life is to keep living.
Yes.
The purpose of life is to extend it for as long as possible. If that is your purpose, you are doomed to fail.
Yeah.
You will fail at some point in time. There has to be some other purpose. And the reason why, you realized it was kind of depressing living that way is because, if you are living for yourself, you are living for nothing because you will die and all of what you have, all of what you had, all of what you wanted, all of your dreams and hopes and everything else, it all dies with you. So if you're living for yourself, you're living for nothing. And this kind of idea, we have to educate the kids about skin cancer, blah, blah, blah. Well, skin cancer rates are skyrocketing, even though we're using more sunscreen than ever before. We don't even know what we're doing.
Not only that, did you see this? This was a couple of weeks ago. So something that people in my circle have been saying for a long time, I'm fairly holistic. I'm not exclusively holistic.
Sure.
But I am mindful of what I eat, what I consume, and what I put on my body.
Yeah.
I know that in most sunscreens are carcinogens.
Oh, yeah.
And we have been saying this for years. That's a conspiracy theory. And we've been shut down for it. And I've got a friend who is a holistic practitioner who got cancelled by fucking Clementine Ford over this. And a whole hate campaign. And just 2 weeks ago, it made mainstream media news that there are known it's the I'm going to get it wrong. The benzene.
Benzenoate or
whatever.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
And it's in Cancer Council of Australia's own products. Neutrogena, Banana Boat. And so this is something we've been talking about for years, got shut down for. And actually, I've got a girlfriend, I've mentioned her a few times, Loz. Loz is the presenter, but her and her partner are very holistic. Very, very, but again, with everything, there's a little bit of hypocrisy. Right? Like, I don't think you can be perfect.
I've got a little bit of hypocrisy in my libertarianism.
I think that's just human. We're a bit messy. But Loz and Jake are perfectly tanned all year round. Like, and I'm not a tanner, man. My skin doesn't do it. But Loz and Jake are just brown bastards. Anyway, and I was like, how do you do it? And they have a solarium and they use their solarium. And I was like, oh, this causes cancer. And they're like, well, actually, Carly. And then they've showed me their information around it. And they're like, sunscreen will cause cancer. You need vitamin D. And the reason why our guts suffer and we have so many other problems is because we keep putting all this sunscreen on ourselves and we're not absorbing vitamin D. Yeah.
So you may not be aware of this. Solariums are now illegal.
Oh, I know that.
Okay.
No, they're allowed for private use.
Are they?
Yes, you can own them for private use. You cannot.
Oh.
Yes.
I was not aware of that.
Yes, a lot of people have them for private use.
Well, in that case, I will get one. So I went through a phase where I actually tried one. So this is back when I was studying acting. I was trying to be all beautiful. I was in really good shape, but I had kind of tan line cut off on my arms and that sort of stuff. Okay, I got to try and get rid of that. I was living in Fitzroy at the time, and of course there are all sorts of shops for everything around there. So I went down to a solarium and I signed up, and they took one look at me and went, "Are you sure? Have you ever smelt the smell of burning potatoes? Because that's what you're going to be." I said, "Yep." So I signed up. It was 12, I think, sessions, but they gave me double the amount of time because I would have to do it on half the strength.
Yep.
Because otherwise I would burn.
Yeah, you burn too.
And then they insisted that I cut my early sessions into half as well. So my early sessions were...
Yeah, you got to even...
Yeah, were half of the normal session time at half of the intensity, and I still burnt the first time, just a little bit. I was still a bit tender the first time. So anyway, that then meant I had tanning. I was going twice a week with very small doses, twice a week for a good 3 months. There's a photograph of me, my graduation photo from my acting school, and I don't recognize myself.
Yeah.
I am I'm not brown, but I'm way browner than I normally am. But I remember I would walk out from having had my dose, essentially, feeling on top of the world.
Yes.
I felt like $1,000,000.
Yep.
I completely understand why people get addicted to sun tanning and solariums and all of that.
It's
100%. It is honestly one of the most incredible natural energizers, aphrodisiacs, whatever you want to name. That solarium experience, one of the most elevating experiences.
I just pulled this up just to make sure I was right. And yes, private ownership is still legal and it's unregulated.
Okay.
But this is the Council of Australia.
I'm going to get one.
Yeah. You can buy, they're probably quite expensive.
I'd imagine you'd have trouble bringing them in because they're going to be like, who's this for? Why are you doing it? Are you going to charge money? Blah, blah, blah.
The ones that were in commercial buildings had to go somewhere.
Well,
they're around.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I just wanted to read, I just read this very quickly. There is no such thing as a safe tan, and there is no substantial health benefits, including boosting vitamin D levels attributed to exposure to artificial UV radiation. I'm sorry, bullshit.
The arrogance.
Shit.
The arrogance to say to, so I believe in God, and I believe that we were created and God designed us to live on this planet. So he designed us to be under the sun. But let's put that aside for a second.
Just for anyone who thinks I'm lying, there you go. It is legal.
Let's take the whole evolutionary, it all happened by chance, blah, blah, blah. In that model as well, so in my model, God made us to live under the sun, right? It's supposed to be a part of our ecosystem, a part of our experience. Under that model, we evolved to live under the sun. The arrogance of saying that because in the last couple of thousand years, we figured out how to build roofs over our heads, now the sun is this horrible thing that's going to burn you to a crisp and destroy your life if you step outside. It's like we're zombies.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, don't go outside
but again,
during the day.
It's like, oh, I believe this and I thought this based on my very biased research. Now everyone has to get in lockstep for it. Do you know what? When I was in Egypt, I was there for 3 months. And, you're in the Sahara, you're above in the northern hemisphere. That is the most tanned I've ever been. Like I'm whitey.
Yeah.
I'm Caucasian. I'm Scandinavian. I'm not a big tanner.
Sure.
But not in Australia because our sun's quite harsh here. But in Egypt, I was brown.
Yeah, right.
I got a great tan. I don't know if it's the difference of the sun over there, but gosh, I felt good.
Yeah.
And I felt healthy.
See, Australia, we must have got our sun from Wish or something. It's just not quite the same quality.
Well, it's the ozone layer.
Oh, it's the ozone layer.
Yes. Yeah. But, you know, I do wear sunscreen when I go out for long periods of time because otherwise I would literally come back like Sebastian from The Little Mermaid.
There's a reference.
Have you ever got super sunburnt?
Oh, yes.
I can count it on my hands, but I remember I went to Hawaii years ago and we went and did a surf lesson and the Hawaiian water is like bath water. It is so warm.
So warm. I was like,
right?
It's like it's sort of soapy and got scum on the head. Like, okay,
no.
It's warm. Gotcha. Yep.
When I was living down Geelong Torquay way, I wanted to be a surfer.
That's
babe.
proper frosty, yeah.
And I can't do it in Australia. It's so cold.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people that gets really cold extremities.
Yeah.
So when I'm out there for like, an hour, I come back, I can't feel anything.
I turn blue.
Yeah. And so my surfing career just never took up.
Oh,
but when I went to Hawaii, we had this guy.
We were denied Lane Beach the Mark II.
Right.
You know?
I could have been.
You coulda, woulda, shoulda.
I could have been a title
Listen
holder.
to you shooting all over yourself.
Yeah. And anyway, so I went to Hawaii and we had this guy who was like a big wave surfer, like one of like the crazy ones.
Yeah.
And he took us for a surf lesson and we were out from say 9 o'clock in the morning and I did not come back in until 6 p.m. I was having so much fun. Do you think it occurred to me once to check my sunscreen?
I'm going to go no.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm on my tummy most of the time on water. I was literally this color to the point where, and I was like literally like a top deck. It was just the one half of my body. I couldn't bend.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't move. I couldn't lie on my back. I couldn't sit down for about a week. I was in so much pain. Oh.
So my worst ever sunburn was when I was a teenager. I would have been 16. And I went to a local pool, didn't wear a shirt. And
we all do that one.
I spent way too long there and burnt to a crisp. And the thing was, 2 days later, I was riding my push bike from Preston, where I was living at the time, down to Ocean Grove. Push bike down past Geelong. Now, this is before they did the Geelong redevelopment. This is back when the edge of the Geelong freeway was like, there were trucks driving with one wheel sort of dipping off the road from time to time, right? Yeah. So I was going to ride that because there was a girl down in Ocean Grove that I fancied and I wanted to go and, she was a homeschooler and I was a homeschooler and I was going to go down there and spend a couple of nights staying with the family and blah, blah, blah. So 2 days before that, I have burnt to a crisp. And then, because I wasn't properly set up for long-range bicycle touring, I had a decent bike, but I had to wear a backpack with my clothes and stuff for the weekend. So I ride down. Feel it. Yeah, I ride down there, and then I'm a third of the way into the ride. I've stopped for my first sort of big break. I've got water on the bike and that sort of stuff, but I stopped for a banana and some nuts and some other stuff to keep myself going. And I take the backpack off and out the bottom of my shirt drops some like balls of skin that have just been rolled up into, yeah. It kind of put me off my banana.
Oh, nah. That's disgusting.
Yes, it was pretty revolting. And it revealed all the tender skin underneath, all the fresh skin that wasn't supposed to see the light of day for another couple of weeks or couple of months. It was not pleasant.
I remember once we were up in Malwala and we used to share a speedboat, like a ski boat with another family. And we had the donuts and our parents went off to lunch and we're, playing around the water. And we decided to like tie the donuts to the boat and let them just like sit in the lake so we could just,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
bit of lounging.
We were wearing our little wetsuits, but I had like a little steamer, so short sleeves, short legs. And I'd put sunscreen on, but obviously when you're laying back, it's moved a little bit. So there's just like this stretch of skin. Same deal, got burnt to a crisp. I got second-degree burns across there. Just this like stripe, and it would blister, and then Anyway, out of curiosity,
delightful.
I just thought I'd check. Tanning beds will set you about $15,000, and you can buy one today.
Ouch. Okay, maybe I won't buy one.
That's a brand new one.
Well, I want a stand-up one as well. I don't want these lie-down ones. I want a stand-up one.
Oh, sorry. You can probably get those.
I want a standy-uppy.
I was on Google. Oh, wait, where am I? There you go. This guy.
I'll get one on Amazon because that way I get free delivery.
This thing. So there you go.
One of them.
Oh, exactly. $10,000.
There you go.
Stand there.
I'll take two at that price.
Yeah.
No, honestly, for a couple of months, twice a week, I would go and stand in one of those. I think I never got to full strength. I think I only ever used it at a reduced power, but I increased the duration.
I've used losses a few times, but it's one of those consistency things. And I'm not saying guys don't. I'm not advocating for this, but fucking do whatever you want.
I'm
Free will,
tell you,
man.
for the same reason that I smoke cigars. So cigars have a noticeable positive impact on my headspace and on my mental health. Coming out of a tanning salon, I felt like consistently, every time, I felt like $1 million.
Do you know what? Like, there's always outliers, and I'm being cheeky when I say this, but this is anecdotal. You know, we talk about alcohol causing cancer. Then explain Keith Richards. You know? Okay,
so there comes a point where you've drunk so much alcohol that the alcohol kills the cancer before it kills you.
Yeah.
You know?
And then same with with smoking causing cancer. G's grandmother is about to turn 100.
Yeah.
And she was a prolific smoker to the point where when we were looking through all the old baby photos, there she is with like a ciggy in hand, every photo.
But what, when she was a baby?
No, she came out of the womb. She's German, maybe. I don't know.
Well, no, but what you don't understand is that if she hadn't been smoking, she'd be turning 200 by now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Like I said, anecdotal. What? If she's smoking, she'd be 200. Yeah. I don't get it.
If she's nearly turning 100, well, she'd be turning 200 by now if she hadn't smoked. Never mind.
I see what you... that didn't land. Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's weird.
See, I tell really sort of bespoke jokes.
I get it. I just don't think that's funny.
They're really tailored to like one person at a time. The problem is that person's not usually in the room.
Very rarely in the room. But yeah, like, do you know what? As I'm getting older, in my old age, I'm like, live and let live, man.
Yeah.
I have this thought, and a lot of this is like, again, research that I've read. It was a study around people in nursing homes and regrets.
Yeah.
And it was a discussion around what was it that they regretted doing and not doing. And very rarely was there a regret of the thing that they did.
Yeah.
It was the regrets of the things they didn't do. And it was, I mean, this, again, anecdotal. We've all heard these stories. But it was so interesting because the things were, I wish I lived a bit more.
Yeah.
I wish I did this thing.
Took more risks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look, part of me is like, do I need to get to 100? I don't think so.
Yeah. But this is the thing. When you live for the purpose of extending your lifespan, eventually that comes to an end anyway.
Yeah.
Right? And this is that sort of the battle cry going into battle. Do you want to live forever? It's kind of, you can die in glory on the battlefield. Not that I'm particularly wanting to do that, but there is that idea of at some point you're going to be looking back on this moment. If you run away from this now, you will live forever as a coward, and then you will die anyway. And you will look back on this moment, and when you're at the point of death anyway, and it's all for nothing, will you want to come back here and sell your life at this moment for something, rather than live for decades more for nothing? And so you use the expression "live and let live," and obviously popular expression, but they used that as a James Bond title, "Live and Let Die."
Yes.
And I actually think we need to popularize.
Live and let die.
We need to popularize "Live and Let Die." Because the catch cry or the counter argument to live and let live is, but people will hurt themselves. People make bad decisions. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a price I'm willing to pay.
Yeah.
Live and let die.
Yeah.
Right? Not through my own neglect of them, but if they're going to make bad decisions and dumb choices, then they will die as a cautionary tale for the rest of us.
Anyone that's had to deal with addiction can attest to this. When you are dealing with someone who's truly addicted, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or whatever, you can tell them all the education you want.
Yep.
That's not the catalyst.
Yep.
They have to decide to get clean.
Mm-hmm.
I know a friend who was, when I say a proper drug addict, I mean someone who was destitute drug addict on the streets, the whole deal, right? Tracks in the arms, the whole thing. And it's interesting because that was in their youth. And you look at them now, you would never think that. No way. You'd be like, huh?
Yeah.
They tell the story and they're like, I had no reason to be a drug addict, a junkie. Like, I'm going to say junkie, not to be offensive, but that's what they call themselves, junkie. They're like, there was no reason. I was in a nice middle-class home, great family, good school. I was smart. I was good at school.
Yeah.
It's just I decided to try something and I liked it a little too much.
Yeah.
And then I did more of that thing and then more. And then with drugs, you need more and more and more and then you go da-da-da-da. Ended up on the meth, doing a bit of heroin, all that sort of stuff, and sure enough became addicted and lived like that for years. And then one day went to score and get the next hit, looked at it and went, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yep.
I don't like it. And that was it.
Yep.
He's like, my parents had intervened, family had intervened, programs, rehab, everything was thrown at me. And it was my parents going, fine.
Yep. Correct.
You're on your own.
Correct.
And he goes, it wasn't my parents abandoning me. It was just like the pressure of me having to acquiesce to them was lifted.
Yep.
And then he got there on his own and went,
Yep.
I want to do it.
Yep.
So I think there's an element of like, let people push the boundaries and get burned a couple of times. And if they decide that I don't like that feeling, I don't want to do it again, great.
And one of the main arguments for no, but we have to, push these people into rehab and we have to try and do the war on drugs and stop them from being able to get drugs, blah, 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 is because druggies, junkies hurt other people around them. Well, that's a great argument for other people around them reaching the point where they go, okay, you've made your choice.
Yeah.
Come back to me when you're willing to make a different choice. I still love you.
Yeah.
But you've made your choice. I'm not going to let you take everything with you.
Yeah.
Right. And because we don't have the discipline to do that for any one of a range of reasons, that's why we allow people like that to then take entire families down.
I think we weaponize love too. I'm doing this because I love you. How much abuse has been done in the name of love?
Yeah. Well, we see this, the very obvious example of that is the enablers required for someone to become super morbidly obese. By the time someone's bedbound, it's no longer them that's overfeeding themselves, right? They've got someone else, they've got a feeder. And what a lot of relatives and parents, especially of people who are seriously drug addicted, make the mistake of doing it. They don't intend this, and they really do sincerely do it out of love, but they actually become enablers. Yeah. And it's their repeated efforts to, let's try this program. Let's try that. We're just going to have him in our home again just for a little while because he's really trying to sort himself out this time. Without them having intended to, they've become the enablers that enable that person to continue in those patterns.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it has to actually be a case of, okay, you're a grown-up. You've made terrible choices for yourself. They are destroying you, but I will no longer allow your choices to destroy the rest of this family. Yeah. When you're ready to make a different choice, come back.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure people are going to disagree with us, but I've never had an addiction myself. I've known many people who have had them, and I've seen them at various stages of their life, and no intervention worked.
Yeah. I was seriously abusing alcohol for about 2 years, right? I was drinking more than I should have for a lot longer than that, and then I ended up seriously abusing alcohol coming out of COVID. Well, in COVID was when I started seriously abusing it, and then it lasted for quite some time after that. And for me, the people say, problem drinking. No, the drinking wasn't the problem. The drinking was the solution. Yeah. The problem was everything else that was going on in my life, and the drinking numbed it. Yeah. The drinking gave my brain something else, a place of rest and respite, and that drowsiness that came after too much alcohol was actually the only peace that I could get. When I was sober, there was no peace. The world was a very unpleasant place. And so a lot of the time when we look at people who are drug addicted, alcohol addicted, and these sorts of things, we think that the drug addiction is the problem. But if you flip it on its head and say, well, hang on, let me entertain the possibility that maybe from that person's perspective, the drugs are actually the solution right now. Yeah. What is the problem that is the solution to? Let's ask ourselves that question. And if that solution was taken away, what would be the more healthy option? Because that person needs a solution. Yeah. They've gone to a bad one. Yeah. Is there a good one that we can get here? Because if you get them off the drugs and don't give them something else, either fixing the problem or giving them an alternative solution, then they are going to go back. Yeah. I want to tell a story. I won't tell the full story today because it's a dark story, but this is my own adolescence. I've given enough information for you guys to realize that by the time I came back to Australia, it was very unhappy for me. Sure. And then in that, there was some volatility in my parents' relationship, being bullied at school, your usual coming of age stuff. Yeah. But I just did not feel like I fit in. That, like, if I look back and think about it, at the core of all of this was I felt like an alien and I didn't belong. And I felt the pressure to belong. I was ridiculed anytime. Like, I've told you the story about the orange sneakers. Things like that. There was always like, Carly's the weird one. She's the one that stands out. She's the black sheep. She's the lone wolf, whatever. Even though I was very friendly, it was always like, oh, of course it's Carly. Sure. And from year 7 to year 10, I was diagnosed with depression. Yeah. And I was put on Zoloft. And so you think like that, they're my formative years. And my doctor and my family, out of love for me, basically made me catatonic. Yeah, medicated you.
Yeah. And it didn't help. And on top of that, you got all your teenage hormones running through. Like everyone remembers their teenage years. They just suck. You're volatile, you're emotional. And then on top of it, you're dealing with things, you feel misunderstood. And then you become an emo. And then here you are questioning your gender. Yeah, but you know, and it's only with hindsight and unpacking all this as an adult I can look back, and that was my parents' way of saying they love me. We love you, so we're going to intervene. I was like, no, what you needed to let me do was just like fucking figure it out. But you intervened too soon. That I've spent most of my adult life trying to kind of unscramble that edge. Yeah. I'll tell the story another day on the podcast, but it's a dark way to end the podcast. But weirdly, I've realized this intervention in other people's lives is the source of our own unhappiness.
Oftentimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're seeing examples of that, this whole little labeling on alcohol and all the rest of it. You know, trying to save one life, spending all of your time worrying about what's happening to other people rather than actually just making your life and the lives of the people close to you the best that they can be.
This comes back to my argument. Take care of your corner of the world first before you worry about... And this stems into everything political, geopolitical, and we're so fixated on fixing the people across the road, across the other side of the world.
Yeah.
But we're neglecting what's going on in our own backyard.
Yeah.
So...
Yep.
Something in that, guys.
There is something in that, and that's something that we can all work on.
We had one thing left, but I'm going to cancel
Veto it.
Yeah, this is a Brad Pitt thing.
Yeah, I'm not that into it.
But I did find a cute, when I say cute little cartoon, I just thought we could end with this. So I'm going to bring it up. And, hang on, sorry, it's Instagram again, so I need to do this.
That.
And then it should...
That is a set of lips.
Here we go.
Socialism is great, socialism is grand. We will all have a ball if we follow the plan where they force us to share because the government can. Socialism is the best.
Oh, look over here. This is where socialism has worked.
What's socialist about this place?
Greece had a lot of socialist policies like free college, including free tuition, free books, free meals.
I mean, I wouldn't mind an all-expenses-paid trip to Princeton.
Oh, I like the way you sing, which is weird because I usually hate women.
Socialism is great, socialism is fine. When we all get free school books and food all the time. Really, who needs a job when you get free coupons? But our country goes bankrupt.
The country went bankrupt?
Yes, many students chose not to graduate at all and made a career out of getting free stuff paid for by taxpayers. It was one of the many systems that bankrupted Greece.
But that wasn't real socialism. Go to a place where everything was socialized.
Like this.
Socialism is grand, socialism is great. When extreme, it can lead to a communist state where individuals get a land or factories running us. Communism is the best.
Soviet-occupied Berlin. This is what happened when a nation broken by war was forced into socialist policies.
Communism? I wrote about this. My dream.
We saw the same thing in Cuba.
This is your dream?
Well, the book was better.
When incentives are lost, we all bear the cost.
But look how popular the bread line is. It must be very yummy bread. Oh yes, yum yum, we love the bread. Oh, the bread is the best bread ever. Silence! Who told you kids you could speak?
Actually, without the freedom and incentives to make their own bread, the people relied on the government for food, which led to massive shortages.
You have to admit, the people have never been slimmer.
Because they went hungry, you dingus!
I thought you taught us to attack ideas, not people.
I'm working on it! Here we go.
So you know where that's from?
No.
That's from the Tuttle Twins. Tuttle Twins are awesome. Anyone that doesn't know what the Tuttle Twins is, you need to go and download a thing called the Angel Studios app onto your smart TV. You can watch it. I think there's still a few seasons for free, although they put part of it behind a paywall. The Tuttle Twins is absolutely freaking awesome. Now, they also do books. I was into them before they were a cartoon. I knew about them before they were cool. Okay, I'm just going to be a little bit hipster here. I got in touch with them and I brought in a few shipments of their books, which are fantastic graphic novel type cartoons. And this is years ago. This is, I think, pre-COVID. It might have been during COVID. And they sold out instantly, and I haven't bought it anymore because I don't have any in Australia. So if you want to order it, you've got to order it direct from Canada, and it costs a fortune in shipping. So if enough people are interested, I could bring in like 10 bundles or 20 bundles or something of all of their books and all their stuff.
I'll give them a follow.
It's so good. So I bought 2 sets, one for my kids and then one to give to my parents so that when my kids visit their grandparents, the books are also there.
Oh, there you go.
As well.
I had never heard of them. I just saw that pop up.
So Angel Studios is where you find the cartoons, and every single episode is based on a different classic book about money.
Okay.
Teaching really positive, libertarian, Austrian economic lessons about life. And it's funny. It's very high quality, really well put together, and it's on point.
Can we watch this one quickly? Just because it's got, what's his name? Zohan Mamdani.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohan Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you.
In the Soviet Union, the government adopted central planning to take control of the food supply. But instead, it made the food shortages worse and led to long bread lines. When the few plan for all, problems come to call.
So what do we do?
We need policies that allow the individual to take care of their own needs and wants.
Oh, I see. When individuals make their own informed decisions, they can benefit the community too.
Grocery prices.
So you've got to see the episode about the inflation monster.
Okay.
My son talks about the inflation monster. He understands inflation and how central money printing causes inflation because of the Tuttle Twins. They're
Well, I'm glad I brought
fantastic.
it up then.
No, so that last one there, the character we saw was their characterization of Friedrich Hayek.
Okay.
And so they take these Austrian economics, these authors, these people who we read their books today, and they kind of bring them to life in this fun kind of time-traveling kids universe. It is really, really, really clever stuff. The cartoons are fantastic. The books are different, but they're also fantastic.
Yeah.
But they'll appeal to a different kind of personality, different kind of kid.
Oh, well, there you go, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Good
that's
stuff.
a good way to end the podcast.
While we're watching things, I realised as I sent you the link to my credit card thing earlier, you have never seen my short film that made the finals of Tropfest in 2013.
No. What is it?
What? No. I think we should make that the way we finish the Oddcast live on Monday.
Okay.
So if you're watching this, you need to make sure. So this is the Oddcast. This is our weekly podcast on a Wednesday night. You should make sure that you go to the Oddcast HQ, the Oddcast HQ YouTube channel, and subscribe, because on Monday nights we also do a show, and we're going to finish this coming Monday's show with my 7-minute finalist film that made the finals of Tropfest in 2013.
You'll have to remind me, but that sounds awesome.
No, I'll have it ready.
But on our channel, if I bring it up quickly, we're at 1,912 subscribers. So guys, I want to, after my anniversary dinner tonight, look at this and see that we've made 2,000 subscribers.
Excellent. All right.
And I feel like you guys can do it for me.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make
that happen. So guys, let's do 2,000. And on that, I know you feel like I rip on the audience. I'm very grateful. I'm great. Like, I love good debate.
Yeah.
I don't like whinging. And the whinge is...
But whinging is what we do best.
No, whinging, like, being exasperated is one thing. But sitting there going, oh, it's because of blah.
Like, it's because of socialism and central planning?
Yeah. But there's ways of, like, writing comments. Like,
I'm just staring you up. I'm trying to get a reaction.
I'm trying to make a serious point, and as always, you just kick me off my course. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I need to wrap this episode up because it's been 3 hours. That's our new standard.
Because she really, really wants to punch me.
That too.
Yeah.
That's every day.
That's normal.
Imagine if we had to do the podcast daily.
I'm glad that this table is as wide as it is.
I reckon we get to a point where we actually like...
I am sure that you would have throttled me on at least one occasion over the last 3 months.
Do you know what I'd love to do? But I can't do it because I've paid for all this equipment. But one day I just read it, fuck this, and just literally flip the table.
When we've made enough money that we can have a new studio built, but we won't tell the audience that we've got a new studio already. And
yeah, just like throw this in the bin.
You can flip the table in the old studio.
I just think it'd be funny. Just like, this is ridiculous. No, I would not, because we love all the things that we have spent all our money on.
You would make sure that the Apple laptop wasn't on the table at the time.
Yeah.
And that'd be my giveaway. Be like, hang on, she's protecting the Apple laptop.
There's no way.
What's going on here?
Do you know what's funny? When we talk about grifting, just to give everyone a bit of insight information, I'm getting the first check from Google this week.
Ooh.
Do you want to know how much
for the
it is?
YouTube revenue?
For the YouTube revenue.
Okay. I've watched Mr. Beast. He makes millions of dollars from every episode. So I'm going to say it's $468 million.
We've got the 400, right?
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, there you go.
$470.
Oh, so close.
That's for a month's work.
Oh, yeah, right.
Woo! No, like, I'm very grateful for that. But you realise, and this comes back to the independent media, and I just thought this was worth just reiterating. It's not really a grift. You're working a lot. So what are we at episode 28?
It's a graft, not a grift.
Yeah.
You are working at it.
7 months in, and first paycheck I get from Google after 7 months is $470. Like,
it's just because you suck at grifting.
Yeah, I need to grift harder.
Yeah.
No, it's just slow and steady.
Yep, slow and steady. Look, we're making waves. We're seeing more of my audience tuning into what's going on here and getting it from a strategic point of view, which is good. And the Oddcast HQ's audience is growing. Our viewership is growing. We're getting 1,200 people in our lives.
And let us know, guys. Actually, I do want to ask you guys. I've got to look there. I always look there. No, there.
Yeah.
Question. When it comes to delivering the news and dissecting political topics, is this less formal format enjoyable? I mean, I think it is. Obviously, you're watching, but you know, sometimes I watch a lot of political content or things like that, and it's very dry. And if I've had a long day and I'm a bit tired, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like those the cartoon thing I just showed you.
Yeah.
I watched it because I was like, this is fun. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, it's good.
You know, and same with this. Like that's why I say I don't mind a bit of Geordies or something like that because it's somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, but also we also just need to do what we do.
Yeah.
So you can answer her question, but let's be honest, I don't care.
Oh, we weren't going to change it if you didn't.
No, that's right. We're going to do our thing. Watch or don't watch.
Yeah,
that's
refreshing.
how this works. Yeah.
But anyway, on that note, please subscribe if you haven't. I would like to see 2000 tonight.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, and same time next week.
Cool. Same time next week, but don't miss Monday. And I reckon we should start at 7:30 and go till 9.
We should probably tell them now then.
I reckon, what do you reckon, 7:30?
7:30?
We totally pre-planned earlier and we talked about this. We had a proper strategic meeting. We didn't just organise this right now. We're changing the start time for the Monday nights from 7 o'clock till 7:30. And instead of being 1 hour, we're going to go an hour and a half till 9 o'clock.
Yeah, because to be fair, it takes us like time to
so
warm up.
Chug. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I didn't talk about it at all. G will be so upset. Oh my God. Okay, 5 more minutes. That's it. I'm capping it off. When I was younger, like when I was a kid, my grandmother used to take us to the Railway Museum out of Newport.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to G and he'd never been there. So I was like, oh, let's go. So I took G to the Railway Museum where they've got a bunch of old locomotives and, you know, old V-lines and things like that. And I should have thought about my decisions prior to doing that because now for the last fucking week, we've been watching locomotive restoration channels on YouTube.
So what you're telling me is that vaccines don't cause autism. Train museums do. That's what you're telling me.
And we're watching all these things and G's like last night we're watching things and to be fair, the people who are doing the restorations aren't the most charismatic. So the YouTube is a bit dry. Not to take away.
That shocks me. I'm so surprised.
Not to take away from it is pretty cool to see these things running again. But I'm like But
yeah, well, I'm just going to say you brought that on yourself.
Yeah. Bring back steam engines though.
What
a cool.
Can we just stop from it? As crazy as modern technology is, imagine a world where the vast majority of people have never seen more than a 3-story building, and even that's extremely rare. And then one day they see their first steam locomotive.
Yeah.
And what a mind-exploding moment.
That's what I'm... And
you would feel it through the ground long before you saw it.
Engineering in it as well. Like when you look at the big scale ones, like the big boys.
Yeah.
And how much, like this is the turn of the century and they figured this out.
Older, we
were talking about this last night. It's like we peaked. Look at what we were able to do 100 years ago.
Steampunk was our peak.
Yeah, do you reckon?
Yeah, the age of steam is beautiful.
Yeah.
Because we still had craftsmanship and we still had pride in aesthetics.
And look at those. So I told you I was watching The Gilded Age.
Yeah.
And same thing, it's at the turn of the century. Set in like 1890s, I think it is. So it's the golden age of New York.
Yeah.
Building the big train stations and God, it was beautiful.
Can I make you feel old?
Yeah.
In future, when you say the turn of the century, you're going to have to clarify which century
one?
you're talking about.
I've lived through two.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Ow. I've lived through 2 millenniums too.
When people make reference to the 20s, they no longer mean the 1920s.
Yeah.
They're talking about now.
Do you know what someone said to me? It was about a month ago, but they're like, "Oh, in the 1900s." I was like,
"Oh yeah, I feel attacked." So bouncers now just have to see that there's a 1 at the start of your birth year. That's all they need to see.
Yeah.
If there's a 1 there, you're at least 18.
Well, I know this makes sense when I say it out loud, but when you hear it, you kind of go, "People born in 2000s are in their 20s now."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My brain can't commute that.
Yeah.
What?
The person flying your commercial aeroplane might have been born in the 2000s. Very early 2000s, and they would have to have done it basically straight out of school. But the person flying your commercial aeroplane could have been born in the year 2000.
I don't know how I feel about this. I'm old.
I know how I feel. Terrified.
I'm old.
Yeah. But let me make it worse. The person flying your aeroplane might be a DEI hire.
Oh, yeah.
That's way scarier.
Yeah. What's the Canadian airline that I'll never fly?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that happy
We're meant
note-
to go.
Yeah, we were. We were meant to go a while ago.
All right, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Subscribe. See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Where's the button?
Where's the button?